Today, I'm honored to introduce you to Dr. Krystle Zuniga. Krystle is a board-certified specialist in oncology nutrition, clinical cancer exercise specialist, PhD in nutritional sciences, and currently an assistant professor at the University of Texas at Austin in the Department of Nutritional Sciences. This is my first time meeting Krystle in person, but I've been following her public work on Instagram and her podcast, Cancer Nutrition HQ, and she's bar none the most informative, articulate, and well-researched individual I've found to learn from on all things cancer. Dr. Krystle Zuniga, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to meet you in person and have a
wonderful
conversation.
I'm really excited. Thank you for making the trip out here.
Yeah.
So just to start off, who are you?
I would define myself career-wise as an educator. Find that I educate in higher education. I educate my patients in my practice. I try to educate on social media. And actually, when I think back on that, when I was a kid, I used to line up my toys and play teacher. And
no way.
Yes.
I love that.
And it's so funny to see how that actually has come back in my life. I really loved school as a kid. I know a lot of people don't say that.
Were you good in school?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was. And that was right, something I was good at. But then I really found the reward in helping others with the information. Like I felt like I could learn pretty quickly things. But what's the point of having all of this knowledge if it's not going to help anyone? Like if it's all up here, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's to get out there. So I find myself to be an educator at the core when it comes to my career.
And so you are an educator and you also work with patients, right?
Yes.
So you do both. You educate both on both ends, like from the people who want to do what you do and also want to be medical professionals, and also with the patients that you work with.
Yes. And I feel like having both is so important because the practicing educating in higher education has helped me really still things down. You know, everyone's got a short attention span. So especially when you have young adults, it's like, how do I really get down to the meat of this? And that helps me be a better clinician to know how to translate. But then also as a clinician, I'm seeing what patients are coming to me with. And they're actually why I decided to show up on social media, as I started to see a lot of misinformation. But then I bring that back into my classroom and tell my students, like, this is important information. People are going to be asking about this. It's not just because it's in the textbook. That's not why I'm testing on this or having you do something. This has real world relevance.
It's one of the many reasons I've loved following you, and you've given me so much more trust and admiration for higher education. And anyone who's listened to the podcast knows I have my real grievances with higher education. Especially when I was in college, I started off in exercise science and I switched to behavioral health psychology and behavioral health sciences. One of the major issues I had in exercise science was none of my professors actually coached anybody. And they weren't coaching people real time, and they had never actually coached a real person. So they were, not only were they not talking from practical experience, but then they weren't even keeping up to date with the research.
Yeah.
And what I see with you is you're always keeping up to date with the research. In fact, I want to talk about later on in the podcast what you're looking forward to, what's coming out in research. And but I love how up to date you are and how you always are continuing to learn. You don't just become a tenured professor and then just stop learning. It's really wonderful, and I appreciate you immensely. I think you're an incredible advocate for the good that higher education can do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I think we've all had those experiences in higher ed. I had some great faculty, but also some that it's like, I think you're using the same lectures from a decade ago, right? And I'd say one of the biggest compliments I get in my student reviews is the enthusiasm that I have, because I really do love this topic. So I'm glad it shows up in the way that I teach.
It comes across so well.
So then I want to learn this information. I want to share this stuff. I always I bring up a random slide, I'm like, isn't her body cool? It's just so cool. And they're like, oh, here she goes again. But it's like, this is amazing what we're discovering. And it's just a really fun topic to be in. And what I really love about being in the field of nutrition science is, and I tell them this, what you're learning now I might be wrong a decade from now. Like, we've got to keep up with the research. This is not stagnant. Nutrition science is evolving. I show them where we've been in the past 100 years, which isn't as far as you'd think we would be. And so that we need to keep up with the research, know how to read the research, interpret that research, and translate it to help people.
Well, you do an incredible job of it.
Thank you.
What misconceptions do people have about you?
I'd say that sometimes I would get some feedback from students, and I'll say, so maybe this is a misconception that I am not approachable.
Really?
That's what I've said. So like maybe that does come across as like, and I felt this too when I was a student. It's like when someone was smart or they're up there, it's like, ugh, I can't like even go talk to them. Like I can't speak on their level.
Interesting. I feel that can come across. I feel like maybe if someone is very intelligent and very well spoken and very articulate, it can almost be intimidating, especially if you feel lesser of yourself. So it's probably more of a reflection of them as
Yeah.
opposed to who you are, because you are unbelievably
Oh,
approachable.
thanks. Well, I
Like,
try to be because I want people to approach me with questions. That's
right.
how we learn. And I say, I'm not smarter than anybody. I may know more about a particular topic, like nutrition and cancer, than some people, but I'm not overall smarter than people. People, have their choice about what they want to learn about and invest a lot of information. That's why we need to communicate and learn from others. So I try to be approachable so that people can want to learn from me. Then I can learn from them.
I love that.
I'm a constant learner, I'm like a learner. And then the more I learn, the more I can teach others.
So on that topic, something that you're always trying to learn, what's something you used to believe, but you no longer do?
Ooh, I used to be in the area of weight management, thinking that overweight and obesity was because people weren't doing enough, right? Or weren't
Like
giving,
lazy?
not, well, maybe it's just like, okay, you're not exercising as much as you need to, or you're really not eating, less than you think you really are, kind of thing. And I had some belief that it was kind of like a willpower thing. But
Yeah.
I think that actually came from my higher education. I think that's the way weight was talked about for a long
100%.
time.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that gets instilled. And now, again, something that I'm able to change in the way that I teach is we talk about weight bias and we talk about weight stigma and we talk about the complexity of overweight and obesity and all the factors that can go into the development of that. So I think the more that I learn and expose myself to with the real world, because it's easy to talk about that when you're a college student that can walk to class,
Yes.
have access to healthy food. It's fine, right?
Getting like 20 to 30,000 steps a day.
Yeah, like how hard is it?
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, oh, no, no, no. And then in working with my patients, I see really the big struggles
Yeah.
that they have. And I know that they're working hard and this isn't a laziness or willpower issue. And, biologically, we have now understood it's a lot
Yes.
more complex than that. So I say it came from a place of being taught that way. And then also we didn't know a whole lot. I'm not going to age myself here. No, I was in college like 20, 30 years ago, right? So things have changed.
I love that.
And that's it. Like we have to keep our mindset open about what's changing.
So I told you before we started recording, I'm going to shift my structure a little bit. I usually now go into the you said, but like I said, I have many questions about cancer.
Yeah.
This is just a topic that I'm woefully undereducated on, and you are so helpful in everything that you put out. So I just want to get some very basic stuff out of the way,
Okay.
and then we'll progress from there. Can you explain what cancer actually is? Like what's happening in the body when someone gets cancer?
Great question. And first off, I want to thank you for asking these questions and bringing this to your platform because you're not the only one who doesn't know this information. And I say people just understood some of the basics about cancer. I think a lot of the myths and misconceptions wouldn't be out there.
Yeah.
Right. So
I feel like people use the word cancer like many people use the word metabolism. They say like, oh, I have a slow metabolism. I'm like, well, what's metabolism? And they have no idea. And I'm guilty of I have no idea. Like I hear cancer and I hear it can proliferate and I hear there's malignant and benign. But I don't know what is actually happening in the body when someone gets cancer. What is it?
Yeah. You have people saying that cancer is a parasite. That is not happening. It's not some foreign thing. It was a single cell in your body that had mutations to the DNA that allowed it a growth advantage. And then it began to grow more. And then it was able to acquire more mutations. And then we see like the selective growth of a cell that has acquired mutations to continue to proliferate. And we call the hallmarks of cancer are these other characteristics that these cells have to acquire to continue to grow. Right? Because after a while, they're going to lose their blood supply and they're not going to be able to proliferate, right? So they actually can create their own blood supply, right? Inflammation is a way that it can promote its own proliferation. It has altered metabolism, so it's able to generate a lot of energy very quickly. These are rapidly dividing cells. Also, something we see in cancer cells is that they can evade our immune system. Our immune system is looking for damaged cells, trying to take care of them. They're able to evade the immune system. So we see that it all starts from one cell. That's all it takes. So cancer is not one disease. It's an umbrella term for over 100 different diseases because any cell in your body could become cancerous. Right? And then it depends on what other mutations it acquires to determine its invasiveness, its ability to respond to treatments, as well. So simply put, it's genetic mutation of a single cell. So it's not a foreign body that came in. There's no worms involved in it. It's like I've heard some wild things out there. But I think what's really wild is that it's our own DNA. Like these are
Yeah.
all the capabilities that our body has. We have the ability to create blood vessels, but only at certain times should we be doing that, right? And so it's actually using our own DNA to create cells that take over.
And so is that why, for example, if the body detects there's something wrong, we'll see white blood cell increase to try and fight it off, but it can't. So if someone's getting their blood work done, you see elevated white blood cells is potentially an indicator of a cancer?
Unfortunately, no, that's not a great indicator.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me what is a good indicator?
Unfortunately, we don't have great screenings for most of our cancers, right, to be able to detect this. So our signs and symptoms for cancer are usually very vague, like
Okay.
unexplained fatigue, right? You might have pain in an area. Rarely is it a big palpable mass that someone's able to feel. I mean, with breast cancer, some people are able to feel that, but that's why mammography is so important because it can detect these masses before they're palpable. Or a colonoscopy could maybe detect something early, but we don't have like a universal blood test. Now, that is something that's in the works to look for what they call circulating tumor DNA. So little pieces of the cancer cell, and that could be detected. But we don't have great screening. So unless you feel like something is wrong, but when there are vague symptoms like fatigue, it's like, well, how have you been
Right.
sleeping, right? Are you stressed more? And I think that's why, well, I know that's why we see delayed diagnoses because there can be a lot of vague symptoms. And unless you're looking in the right area at the right time, you might miss seeing someone's cancer. So very rarely are we able to use blood work alone to be able to detect if someone has cancer. A blood cancer, you'd be able to look at blood work, but
So how do you, and this is going to seem like such a stupid question. I can't believe I'm asking it, but like let's say someone has cancer, they just get a typical blood panel and they see white blood cell count is elevated. What would they do next in order to say like, hey, we need to figure out if you have cancer? Like, what do you do next?
well, with a white blood cell count that's elevated, it would depend on how elevated it is, because sometimes a white blood cell count that's elevated, you have an infection.
Right.
Versus maybe a white blood cell count that's really elevated could potentially be leukemia.
Okay.
Right. But it's not going to be elevated because of breast cancer or
Oh, it won't
prostate
be.
cancer. No.
Okay. And so the way someone would find out about breast cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer is maybe they feel it. Prostate cancer, they have these symptoms of fatigue. How would they get this diagnosis then that they have it?
It would require imaging typically.
Okay.
Imaging, or if there is some type of palpable mass, like sometimes in lymphoma, they may have a enlarged lymph node and they can biopsy that and then see if that was cancerous. But it requires imaging, and that can take a long time to get done.
Right.
And that's why they usually, and be expensive. So that's why they try to rule out some other things before. For example, colorectal cancer, especially in young adults, we see delayed diagnosis. Like, oh, you're young, right? You're healthy.
Right.
Maybe it's IBS. You're stressed. You haven't been eating well. Until they get a colonoscopy, are you able to tell if there's something in there? Yeah.
So that's something I struggle with because my brain goes, I want to try and figure this out. I want to rule out the worst case scenario as soon as possible. But it seems like the medical system goes the other way. Like, let's go like we'll just assume the least benign first. But, and obviously every cancer will be different, I would imagine. But let's say it's delayed a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Can cancer rapidly progress over that time? So people are potentially going from an early stage treatable cancer to a late stage non-treatable cancer because of these delays by the medical system?
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, that's scary.
That can occur. It is. And that's part of, we see these health disparities in survival rates, or health disparities in that they tend to be diagnosed later, some different races. And that could be because of the way that they're treated in the medical system, and delays. And then you're diagnosed at a later stage, which is going to have poorer survival outcomes. Right. And so, yes, that's why I always advocate for people to advocate for themselves. If something feels off, you know your body better than anybody. And to tell your doctor these new symptoms, what you've tried, what you've done. I've told my patients, like, go in there with your list of what you've done, what you've tried, what you've ruled out yourself, so that you can get the next needed thing. Because there is going to be sometimes some delay. So you do have to advocate for
And
yourself.
you say push for imaging, push so that you can try and get this as quickly as possible?
especially, so kind of colorectal cancer, we had kind of talked about this briefly, but we're seeing a rise in young adults in colorectal cancer.
Yep.
And so there's blood in your stool. That's not normal.
Yep.
Don't assume it's hemorrhoids. Like, let them know about these symptoms. I think sometimes too, these symptoms can be embarrassing to talk about, right? Like, oh, for prostate cancer, maybe increase in urinary frequency or inability to have an erection. You've got to talk about that with your doctor. Some people are a little hesitant. It's like, they're there to help you. So, tell them all these symptoms and advocate for these things. Don't assume it's normal.
Okay. That's all super helpful. And later on, I want to talk about the rise in cancer in young adults. I think it's something I'm personally very interested in. My next question is, why do some people get cancer when they live a very healthy lifestyle? And then we see other stories of people who they smoke and they drink and they don't work out and they're centenarians. They lived over 100. Like, why do some people get cancer and others don't?
I know. $1,000,000 question.
Do we have? There's no answer to it.
I mean, really, we know that right now. We say only 10% of cancers are genetic, in that there was an inherited mutation.
Only 10%.
Yes. So the rest is, we could say, to environment and lifestyle, which is a big thing to try to explain. And say, okay, we only know of 10% as far as known genetic mutations. There could be more as we are able to do more genetic screenings on people that have cancer. So we know, and I often hear this from patients too, is like, I did everything.
Yeah.
I did everything, right? I've had the vegan marathon runner, slept, yoga, stress management, and still got cancer. It's like, we don't know. We don't know why some get it versus the other. What you did lowered your risk, but something else caused that damage. And it doesn't mean that these behaviors aren't important. We just need to understand their limitations and that there's still a lot of unknowns in cancer. It doesn't mean that we don't know anything and that people are trying to know and understand. So some people take it one way of, well, then what's the point?
Right.
Let me just drink, smoke, do whatever I want. Versus others, I see it as, let me do everything that's within my control.
Yeah.
Because we also know in the research that those that are healthier at diagnosis have better survival outcomes. They're going to be able to withstand their treatments better, have less treatment side effects. So it's still important.
Is it, my brain immediately goes to analogies. Is it sort of like, listen, if you're wearing your seatbelt and you get in a car accident, it doesn't definitively mean you're going to be saved, but you have a better chance of being saved from wearing your seatbelt than if you weren't wearing it whatsoever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, when say the number one cause of death in the U.S. is cardiovascular disease. And the same things that we do to reduce the risk of cancer can reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, dementia. So it's going to be something that's going to provide overall benefits and have a good quality of life.
Makes total sense.
I get how everyone wants to try to understand what specifically did I do wrong to get cancer or what happened so that I avoid that again. We just don't know.
Can I ask, how did you, this is going to seem like a weird veer off for a second, but how did you get involved in this field? Was there like a personal relationship or story that you have with cancer? Like what got you involved with this?
Yeah, I don't have a great origin story other than like I fell into it. So my origin story is like take advantage of any opportunity. I just wanted to do some research, and my mentor at the time was doing research on prostate cancer cells, looking at how different compounds went in tomato, went in pomegranate. We treated prostate cancer cells and saw how it affected their growth. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Like, what's
tomatoes?
Yeah, like, what is this? It's crazy. And so, of course, reading and learning more about cancer, it opened my mind into the power of diet, because we didn't really talk much about that in my medical nutrition class about diet and cancer. And so seeing that happen, like actually looking at a petri dish and seeing that treatment reduced cancer, I wanted to know more. So then I did my PhD in nutrition and worked in a lab where we were doing dietary interventions for prostate cancer prevention. So kind of just stayed in this area.
So cool.
And it was just so fun to learn about. Really, I took a cancer biology class while I was there, and this is a really interesting area. So I was down the track of doing research. I had an assistant professor job with a research lab and teaching classes. But as I was working with my, they're not patients, participants at that time, they were telling me about how they didn't get nutrition support while they were going through treatment. And I was like, but why? Like, we know how important nutrition is. And so that just showed that disconnect between research and not being aware of what's happening in the real world. So that's crazy. We're here in Austin, Texas, a huge metro. What do you mean nutrition support's not part of your care? And then that's where I really wanted to direct my efforts into. I started my practice, then started communicating on social media, and just, again, it fell into this. So I didn't like start off going to school saying, I want to be an oncology dietitian.
Right.
It's just something that really fascinated me. And then as I learned more from people and patients, I wanted to do more and learn more.
Do you, and this is more of a personal question, but do you get nervous about yourself getting cancer? Is that something that like you're so involved in this field and you're so like aware of what can happen? Like, does it scare you at all? Is it something that you constantly think about? Like, do I have cancer? I know some people who are involved in this level of whether it's this field or even in personal trainers. I know some personal trainers' biggest fears are getting fat. And it's because that's one reason why they become personal trainers. It's like they feel if I could just focus everything on this, then I won't. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Do you have a fear of cancer for yourself?
That's a really good question. Never been asked that before. And yeah, I had a lot of health anxiety when I first got into this field because I would see young women my age telling me their stories like, do I feel that too?
Right. Yeah.
And so I had to work through that actually. It's like to be in this field, I need to this is not about me.
Yeah.
And to know too, actually, the more that I've been into this, like you can do the best you can and life's going to deal the cards.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I see though is how do I want to approach this if this happened? Now, I know a lot about the system and prepared to either help myself or help others. But yeah, it's scary because the statistics are not in our favor.
Right.
It's estimated that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will get cancer in their lifetime.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So it's kind of a luck thing at some point of that. So yeah, there's a lot of health anxiety, but because of that, actually, when I notice something's wrong with me, I want to know. When I personally tell a story too, I notice a lump. I do my feel it on the first.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is new. This has not been there before. I went to my doctor. Thankfully, she was someone that said, I don't think this is anything, but we want to play it safe, and got my mammogram and ultrasound, and it was fine.
It was
We
fine.
monitored it, but it was really good to have a healthcare provider who understood my concerns and didn't just blow it off. But yeah, it's like, okay, this doesn't feel normal, and I'm not going to just say, oh, I'm young, it's fine.
Right.
Don't make that assumption and just be more proactive.
I love that.
I keep up with my yearly screenings. I like when I turn 40, mammogram, when 45, I'm going to do that colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of screening tests. So if it's available tool, I'm in.
100%. Yeah. Okay. So I have, actually, before I get to that, I have another question.
Yeah.
How much do your nutrition habits actually impact your likelihood of getting cancer?
Great question. So we say that about 40% of cancers could be prevented through lifestyle factors. Now, when we hear that term, lifestyle factors, people immediately jump to diet is the ultimate. That includes smoking, overweight and obesity, physical inactivity, diet, radiation as well. So diet is not the biggest contributor there.
Oh, it's not the biggest one?
No.
What is?
Smoking is still.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And then overweight and obesity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the margin on that? Like, what's the differential between smoking and
I believe
overweight?
in the last stat, it was like that 20% of cancers could be, and then overweight and obesity, about 10 to 15. Don't quote me on those stats, but it's lower. It's definitely lower than smoking. It's not right up there with smoking, but we can definitely talk about that because that is a risk factor for 13 different cancers is obesity. And part of what we're seeing, this rise in certain types of cancers may be related to what we're seeing in the obesity statistics, right? And also earlier childhood obesity, that's going to increase their risk later.
What do you think, why do you think obesity is such a large contributor to so many different cancers? Like, what is going on physiologically that is causing potentially these cancers from obesity?
Yeah, so there's mechanisms there. So of course, there's some thought of, well, their screenings are going to be delayed. Sometimes these screening tests don't work as well for individuals of that or weight stigma. That can be a factor of maybe delayed diagnoses. But we do have known biological mechanisms by which obesity could increase the risk of cancer. And so there's several. I can go into them.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So one of them is inflammation.
Okay.
Right? We know that as these adipose cells start to get larger, there's going to be hypoxia, right? There's going to be areas that don't get a lot of oxygen that's going to activate inflammation. And then that's systemic inflammation. It's not just localized inflammation, right? So immune cells try to get recruited there. they're also contributing to inflammation. And so with more inflammation, that can increase the risk of DNA being damaged. That's one. Also, we see like the metabolic changes that happen in obesity, right? We might see hyperinsulinemia. High insulin levels also increase insulin growth factor 1 levels. Those are both signaling molecules for growth, cell proliferation, protein synthesis. So that can be a way that it's increasing risk as well. For breast cancer, adipose cells also secrete the enzyme aromatase, which converts testosterone to estrogen. So the hypothesis there is that with more adipose cells, there's more estrogen, and then that would then increase the risk of an estrogen-sensitive cancer. So those are some of the mechanisms at play. Of course, now we're seeing things like the microbiome, and that's opened up Pandora's box of things. But it's not just how they're treated in the healthcare system. That's certainly a contributing factor. But we know that obesity, there are systemic inflammatory factors, systemic impacts on insulin growth factor, insulin levels, maybe higher glucose availability that could potentiate cancer development.
Do we see higher cancer rates among type 2 diabetics?
Yes.
And do you think that has to do with the insulin issues and the blood sugar issues, they sort of play into each other?
Yes, and there's also an increased risk of pancreatic cancer, which makes sense when the pancreas is involved.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. I'm going to ask you point by point a handful of hot button cancer questions.
Sure.
You can answer each one as briefly or as in-depth as you'd like. Okay?
Okay.
So first and foremost, does eating organic reduce your risk of cancer?
No, our evidence does not support that right now, that organic would lower the risk of cancer.
So pesticides are not causing cancer?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe so. Someone's going to comment about that, I'm sure. I say I'm listening to the data, and right now our data does not support that eating organic lowers the risk of cancer.
Okay.
What we do know is that eating more fruits and vegetables, regardless, is going to lower the risk of cancer. Now, again, could be proven wrong as we get more data. It's really hard to measure sometimes these pesticide exposures. And I'll say if there is a link there, it's probably not just one. It could be our cumulative lifetime exposure to these things. But with the organic, though, is that organic does not mean pesticide-free.
Correct.
So it's just a different type of pesticide, and we can't assume that that's safer. In many cases, it may not be. So I'll backtrack and say there could be potentially maybe lifetime risk. I don't doubt that these are things that our body has to deal with.
Yeah.
And anytime our body's got to deal with something foreign, it could be a potential risk for something. But I don't want that to scare people out of eating non-organic. And personally, I don't eat organic.
Got it. Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Nope.
It's funny because I'll say the same thing that based on the available data, it doesn't show that it definitively increases cancer risk. And the next question people say, yeah, but do you feed your kids non-organic? I'm like, yeah. And they drink tap water.
Yeah. It's if that makes you feel better to eat organic and you want to support local farmers and go for it.
Yeah.
But I think, again, when we talk about these big pillars of what could lower the risk, it's not reducing pesticide exposure.
Do artificial sweeteners cause cancer?
So we group that as all things. So aspartame is what came out in that IARC report as potentially carcinogenic. So there are many artificial sweeteners. Aspartame was the one that we had enough data to come to a conclusion with, and actually it wasn't very strong data. And it just validated that 9 to 12 cans of soda, that's diet soda, that's a high level of intake, right? We should try to stay below that.
Right.
So that, yes, defined it as a carcinogen. Unfortunately, that messaging came out and said, see, they cause cancer.
Right.
Dose matters.
Right.
And they came to the conclusion that about 9 to 12 cans of soda would be the equivalent of how much aspartame could potentially be carcinogenic if you did that every day.
Every day for years on end. And I believe it was the same level of carcinogen as our cell phone is too, right?
And pickled vegetables and aloe vera extract. Yes. So it's yes. And those are natural, right?
Right, exactly.
So, and also then people assume, well, aspartame came out as carcinogenic, so stevia, monk fruit, those are better. It's actually, we have less data on those. Those have been around in our food system less.
Right.
I'd say anything that's probably not absorbed could potentially, maybe disturb our microbiome, and then that could have some influences, but that's really being speculative.
So
I
you're
said,
just
don't.
not recommending 9 to 12 cans of diet soda
Yeah,
a day.
yeah. And because we know sugar sweetened beverage intake is specifically listed in our cancer prevention recommendations to not consume sugar sweetened beverages.
Interesting.
It is a risk factor for cancer. And there's actually a study where they did kind of a substitution analysis of if you substitute a sugar sweetened beverage with an artificial sweetened beverage, that would actually lower risk.
Oh, wow.
Or have found that sugar sweetened beverages were associated with the risk, but artificial was not. So
Why were the sugar sweetened beverages associated with the risk?
So for the cancer prevention recommendation, that was based on the link between sugar sweetened beverages and obesity. So it was more of an indirect that we know that sugar sweetened beverages can contribute to weight gain, obesity risk, and that's a strong risk factor for cancer.
That makes sense.
But some other mechanistic, specifically with like colorectal cancer, fructose, if that's not well absorbed in the small intestine, that's going to go to the large intestine. And it was associated, actually, sugar sweetened beverage with distal colon cancer risk. So some speculation there that that's disturbing the microbiome and could potentially increase risk. That's observational, though. So it might be more than just the link between
might be
obesity.
More direct.
Yes, that either the ingredient itself or having high blood glucose levels, high insulin.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah. But as far as what came out for the cancer prevention recommendation, it was more of this indirect.
So the idea that people are like, hey, I'd rather have the real sugar than the fake stuff because it's healthier is a misnomer, to say the least.
Yeah, because just one sugar sweetened beverage a day can increase the risk. And that includes your frappuccinos, your sweetened teas. It's like, oh, well, it's not soda. That's still in the family of sugar sweetened beverages.
So you're very deliberate with how you're framing it. It's like it's a sugar sweetened beverage. It's not a Coke.
Yes.
Necessarily.
Yeah, because some of these sports drinks or fruit drinks that aren't 100% fruit juice, coffee drinks, energy drinks, those all fall under the category of sugar sweetened beverage.
Okay. Does sugar, so actually this basically goes right into it. I was going to say, does sugar feed or cause cancer growth?
Number one question in cancer. I did spot for myself. I have a podcast episode specifically on this because it is a big,
we can
complex.
link it in the show notes. Just send me the link. We'll put it in the show notes.
This is the number one question I get, and I see a lot of patients like no sugar, no carbs in my diet. Sugar feeds cancer. And what's hard about this myth is like, well, yes, glucose is going to be a fuel source for cancer cells, but one, that's not all a cancer cell needs, right? It's going to need lipids, it's going to need proteins, it's going to need vitamins and minerals. We cannot selectively starve cancer. So yes, they're going to use up glucose at a rapid rate because they are rapidly dividing. Also, glucose is used for our pentose phosphate pathway to generate the riboses that we need for DNA and RNA synthesis. So they are using glucose at a high rate. But then it gets misinterpreted that, well, then if you don't eat sugar, then you're going to starve cancer. And cancer is crazy in that it can find other ways to get fuel. So, one thing I like to show in my nutrition and cancer class is they've shown that cancer cells could still steal mitochondria from a nearby immune cell, like literally just steal it. And then another one was showing that it can steal proteins from living or dying cells that's around it. So it's like it's going to do what it needs to do to...
It will survive.
It really, and what's wild is like that came from our own DNA. Like our DNA was able to do this, but it shows like just how resilient it can be, and that if you selectively reduce one fuel source, it's like, okay, well, guess we got to go this route, and you might be selecting out those cells that don't need as much glucose to survive. And then also, even within a tumor, there's different amounts of oxygenation. All right, so that's going to determine what fuel they might choose to use. So maybe not all the cells in that tumor are actually preferring glucose as a major fuel source. One study actually found that the immune cells in the tumor were actually being big users of glucose. So when you see, I don't know if you've heard of a PET scan.
Yeah, of course.
Where they take a glucose or labeled glucose and then they have the scan and it glows.
Yeah.
Right. And they're assuming, well, all of this glowing is from the tumor. Well, this study actually did an analysis of the cells, which ones picked up the glucose, and they found the immune cells in there were picking up glucose. So it's not just the tumor cells. And they say that like we want to make sure, this is all a long story short of starving cancer is not a thing right now.
Yeah, okay.
We can certainly talk about there's metabolic therapies that are under investigation.
Okay.
But cutting out sugar alone is not going to cure cancer. Now, This is not saying you can go on an all-you-can-eat sugar diet.
Right,
It's
right,
like,
right.
oh, you're saying sugar's fine. I get that all the time. Like, that's a straw man. Right. It's like, no, no, no.
It's the most extreme things. It's either it's the worst thing for you or it's all you should eat. There's no nuance or middle ground. Yeah.
Like, does moderation not exist? Yes. It's so frustrating. Like, no, we should limit added sugar in the diet. These recommendations have been out. We should be limit. I said limit sugar sweetened beverages. Our prevention recommendations say limit ultra processed foods. So yeah, we should be limiting added sugar from the diet for the metabolic health reasons, the
Right.
weight management pieces. But then it turns into sugar feeds cancer. So you shouldn't eat fruit and you shouldn't eat grains and you shouldn't eat beans because they all turn into sugar.
Oh my
and then we
gosh.
get onto these really extreme diets that don't have therapeutic benefits and in fact can be harmful. Right. And something I've talked about too is when we restrict those food groups, what else are we restricting? Vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, fiber.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah.
You were talking about these metabolic therapies. Can you go into that a little bit? I'd like
Yeah.
to learn more.
Yeah. So metabolic therapies are under investigation of like knowing that there is changed energy metabolism in cancer cells. We've seen that, noted that. What if we manipulated the diet to change their fuel availability? So the ketogenic diet has been studied in cancer, very small studies. Unfortunately, a lot of limitations is that very poor adherence.
That
This
makes
diet.
sense.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I say this is evidence of like, these are people who often they're studied in brain cancers who have very poor prognosis. Like they're willing to do anything, right? And still can show how challenging this diet can be to adhere to. You're eating differently than your family, not the most palatable diet long term. You're dealing with side effects. But there has been some utility in that it could potentially be therapeutic in combination with traditional therapy. So ketogenic diet, there's actually a large clinical trial going on right now in the US with a ketogenic diet. Intermittent fasting is another one that's being studied.
Okay.
With the theory, again, that you're kind of stressing these cells. That could lead to autophagy, maybe stimulating the immune system, because our immune system is so critical for helping against cancer. Reducing insulin levels. Those could be some ways that intermittent fasting is helpful. That's also under investigation. There's some studies that are looking at reducing specific amino acids that some cancer cells might utilize for energy. But those types of metabolic therapies you can't really do from your diet alone to manipulate. Like we can't selectively remove one amino acid. It's in everything. So that would require like therapeutic foods, which are also under investigation too. So it's definitely an active area of research to see how can we understand the metabolic vulnerabilities of a tumor, know what the therapeutic is going to target, and then do that in combination with the diet. So it's like, okay, you take it this way, and then we're going to come get them from behind.
Right,
kind of
right,
thing.
right.
I think it's going to be really cool if we can find the right combination for the right cancer. And as we said before, cancer is not one disease. So we're going to have understanding of what that tumor's mutations are, and then what's the right therapeutic with the right dietary protocol.
And just to clarify, so there's no confusion, when you're saying potentially ketogenic diet, potentially intermittent fasting, for example, you're not saying that would treat cancer. You're saying this might help slow it down, slow the growth down, so you have more time to treat it with other therapeutics?
It might make the therapies more effective.
Oh,
so
interesting.
It alone
Okay.
would not treat cancer, but in combination with a therapy that's maybe targeting this metabolic vulnerability, now you're also reducing its fuel source, you're reducing the growth signaling right, for this tumor. And it's not like what we find with keto diet for brain cancer. If we do see benefits from this trial, we're not going to say that's for all cancers.
Right.
It's going to be for this cancer, with these mutations, with this treatment protocol.
Right.
Because we can't assume that one dietary protocol is going to be beneficial for all. The keto diet specifically, there was an animal study that showed the keto diet with therapy reduced pancreatic cancer growth.
Okay.
Very exciting.
In rats or?
It was mice.
Mice,
Yeah,
okay.
It was mice. And then another study did the keto diet with therapy in a breast cancer model, and they actually saw more tumors and more metastasis.
Wow. Okay.
And their theory was, well, actually, when you starved these cells, the ones that it could have triggered, this is the author's, which I think is an interesting theory. Author's theory is that maybe they go looking for their fuel. And so that actually led to this selective pressure to metastasize because they saw more metastasis in this breast cancer model with the keto diet. So I'm not saying like you're going to get metastasis if you do this. Just this is something that's like, we got to pay attention here that we can't make these broad strokes thing. We have to understand the tumor because they're not going to act the same across cancer types.
And we just don't know yet. It sounds like it's anyone
Yeah.
making broad claims saying this is what you need to do for cancer without taking the individual cancer and you and understanding that the limitations of the research. It's you have to take that with a huge grain of salt.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. People are saying broad strokes. Do you have cancer? Keto. You got to fast, right? And it's like, no, we have to understand the individual and their metabolic issues that might be going on.
Right.
Malnutrition is a big issue in cancer too. So we don't want to put people on these really restrictive diets unless we know it's going to have a therapeutic benefit.
Makes sense. Does eating soy products cause breast cancer?
No, it reduces the risk of breast cancer.
Does it really?
Yes. Yep.
Interesting. So why are there so many people who are spouting this idea that soy is going to increase breast cancer?
Yeah. So there was some early animal research where they found that isolated compounds from soy. So soy's got a compound called isoflavones. There's several of them. And they're in the family of what we call phytoestrogens. So they're plant compounds that have a similar structure to estrogen. And then I kind of hate that term because then people assume it's estrogen. Similar structure. It is not the same thing as estradiol in our body. But anyway, high amounts in a breast cancer model led to breast cancer growth. It's like because it's acting like an estrogen. You gave high amounts of it. It binds to the estrogen receptor. It stimulates growth. Mice, right? Animals. What do we see in human research? In large population studies, consuming more soy is associated with a lower risk of breast cancer.
Why do you think that is?
Phytoestrogens could actually be protective. And then also think about whole soy foods. So this isn't soy protein isolate. Right? This isn't the soy burger or soy corn dog. I've seen those. It's whole soy foods, tempeh, tofu, soy milk. That these are things that have more than just the phytoestrogens. They can be plant-based proteins that are replacing the animal proteins, right? These are whole foods with vitamins, minerals. So I think one, phytoestrogens could be an aspect of the protectiveness, but also that these are whole foods that could be displacing more processed foods in the diet. So we see that lower risk, and it's like, well, what if I have cancer, a hormone-sensitive cancer? So estrogen receptor positive breast cancer is one of the most common forms of breast cancer, and they often hear, cut out soy, right? That's going to feed cancer. We have seen in the research, even in breast cancer survivors, soy is protective. In fact, it reduced the risk of all-cause mortality, breast cancer-related mortality, and breast cancer recurrence.
Wow.
So it's like not only is saying that it feeds cancer wrong, it's the opposite.
It might be it's harmful because you're inhibiting people from getting what might be benefiting them.
Yep.
Interesting. That's super helpful.
It's just this myth. And unfortunately, sometimes they hear it from their providers. It's just one of these things that when that came out, that was very scary to see like, oh my gosh, something from the diet could be making cancer grow. Like no soy. You don't need it, right? It's fine. But actually like, research says otherwise. Yeah.
Does the alkaline diet prevent or stop cancer?
No. That is made up. I also did a podcast episode on that. Do you know like the history of this guy? I already forgot his name, but he was not a medical practitioner by any means, but he created this alkaline diet, was treating people with his alkaline therapies, giving bicarbonate, injections, and actually got sued for that, went to prison for practicing
not surprising medicine at all.
Got out of jail. Did it again.
Oh my gosh.
So he's back. He's back in prison.
He's back in prison.
Yeah, because he did it again. He came out and so initially it came out because he was telling someone to not do traditional therapy and they did his therapy instead. And what do you know? It progressed, right? Because that is not an effective therapy. So they did sue him and he got in trouble. So the civil lawsuit plus just showing that he was practicing medicine without a license. And then he came out. And part of his way to reduce his sentence was that he had to actually come out and say, I'm not a doctor, like this is... And then he got out and he did it again. And just as an example, like grifters, when that's your only way to make money is to lie, I guess that's what they have to fall back on is to do it again. But it was based on this theory that when food was burned, the ash was either alkaline or acidic. Alkaline foods tend to be our more plant foods, our fruits, our veggies, but not all of them actually. Like some fruits or veggies were in the acidic. Proteins tend to be the acidic. And so it was believed that if you change the pH of the body, you'd keep cancer from growing because cancer can't live in an alkaline environment. Like, well, none of our cells can live in an alkaline environment, right? And so I said there's also, again, this little truth to it that we do see that the tumor microenvironment tends to be more acidic, but that's because of all the lactate production. Talking about how they use glucose and they do aerobic glycolysis so that not going to get to metabolic pathways, glucose to lactate, just saying that, and that's acidic.
Got it.
Right, that's going to
Okay.
change the pH.
Interesting.
Of that area. So yes, but it's generating its own acidic microenvironment from its own metabolism.
Got it.
And that acidic microenvironment is to its advantage because when it's acidic, that's going to keep immune cells out because immune cells can't really thrive in that acidic environment. Also, that acidic microenvironment, that's going to stimulate the generation of more blood vessels.
Okay.
So that it's getting more oxygen, more nutrients to support its growth.
Interesting.
So no out about this stuff, but just no alkaline diet. It's like it's creating an acidic environment itself, regardless of what you eat, and that acidic environment is to its advantage. And there's actually therapeutics that are trying to target this.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Does exposure to microplastics cause cancer?
I would say that I will express my concerns about what we're seeing with the accumulation of microplastics, and they do like these autopsies. Just like, I mean, that's scary. We know that these things have compounds and they're not being eliminated. They're like hanging out in us for a while.
Yeah.
So I think that's scary. Now, do we have the data to show like how much exposure is associated with an increased risk? Not yet, because I'm like, I don't know how you measure microplastic exposure. So I think that's going to be the tricky part of that research area is how do we measure exposure? How do we know how much microplastics are in there? But I'd say it's probably not a good thing to have plastics accumulating in us, and I don't think we can assume they're benign.
Where are people typically getting the most amount of microplastics in their life?
I don't know. I'm not very familiar with that. I mean, they've seen microplastics in water, right? And we're told to hydrate. So what are we going to do? They've seen microplastics in plant foods too. They're picking up things from the soil. So it's like it's one of these things too. It's like, do we stress about this and try? Plastic is everywhere. Should we try to reduce our exposure? Yes. Like, don't microwave your food in plastic, right?
Okay, so you don't microwave it in plastic. Okay. Okay.
You're also leaching chemicals from the plastic into your food, especially if it's an acidic food, or limit buying things that are in packaging. Those tend to be processed foods, right? Anyway, I think there's ways that we can try to reduce our exposure, maybe minimize plastics, but it's kind of like the damage is already done. It's in our water, it's in our soil, in our air. Like there's finding these particles and we're exposed to it.
So stressing about it was just going to make it even worse.
I try not to, but someone's going to try. I'm sure someone's out there selling a microplastic detox.
100%. 100%.
We're going to start seeing those images of like large chunks of plastic in their toilet or something. Right? Have you seen the stuff of the people with these worms that they got out?
Dr. Bellardo was on not long ago, and she told me how they put inulin in these parasite cleanses. And she said, like, the inulin will cause them to have these, like, stringy bowel movements.
Yes.
So that's what they say. It's like, look, you excreted a parasite. It's like, no, it's just from the fucking inulin. But I didn't know that until she said it. But, yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, where did we get in this world where people are willing to go on camera and show their bowel movements?
It's crazy. It's crazy. People are wild.
To make a buck.
People are way too comfortable.
That's way too comfortable.
Okay, and last one from this batch of questions. Does drinking alcohol cause cancer?
Yes.
It causes it directly.
It is a carcinogen. Yes. Now, dose matters.
Yep.
Here we go again. Like, we label something as a carcinogen, but dose matters.
Okay.
And when the Surgeon General report came out this beginning of this year about alcohol and the advisory around alcohol, there's interestingly a lot of pushback about it. Like people didn't really like that message. Like they're just giving the facts. Like, don't we want our government to be gathering this data, telling us what we're finding in the research? And really what they said is like, here are the known mechanisms by which it's going to contribute to cancer. It's associated with 7 different cancers and their risk. And we know that even our moderate drinking exposure can increase the risk. Now, you choose to do whatever you want with that data, but we need to inform people because less than half of Americans are aware that alcohol is a risk factor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the real concern there. So this is just, let's educate about it. Do what you will with that information. But we need to make people aware of the recommendations.
I wonder, because I don't know if I was alive or just very young, but like when it became very well known that cigarettes were causing cancer, I wonder if there was the same level of blowback.
Oh, good
of people who
question.
were like really, because I'm sure there were, because I mean, there were doctors who were not only smoking with their patients like in the
Yeah,
exam room, but like
wild.
also like recommending it and saying it's not a bad, recommending pregnant women have cigarettes. Like, so I would imagine it was probably similar when it first came out,
Yeah.
not to mention all the lobbying going like for the tobacco
Yes.
industry. And
Yes.
I know the alcohol industry is not happy right now because
No, I
drinking is
know.
the lowest it's been in my lifetime and
Mm-hmm.
probably in potentially since prohibition, is that maybe,
Yeah.
but like it's I wonder if when that happened with tobacco there was the same level of blowback, because anytime I see someone on social media relaying this information, the comment section is riddled with people who are furious that
Mm-hmm.
someone dared to say it. And I drink, like I have alcohol, like it's something that's like I'm not going to just stop drinking, at least
Mm-hmm.
not at this point in my life. But I can also look at it and say like, okay, it's just a fact. Like that it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, there's no point in getting upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really like want to defend. It's like, well, I think that not drinking would be bad because then you're not going to have a social life, or like people defending it.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's just do with this information what you will. If you think that it's not going to be harmful for you, then continue to drink.
Yeah.
But what they did just give and to know the magnitude of the effect. So they assumed in the statistics that that would mean out of 100 extra cancer cases if we did 2 drinks a day. For
Oh,
women
okay.
and for men, it would be 3 extra cancer cases.
Okay.
100. It's not saying like, oh, you drink, that's it, you're getting
Right,
cancer.
right,
It
right.
just to recognize that this will increase your risk. There are particular cancers that it's more associated with, like the oral pharynx, mouth, throat,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
mainly because it tends to be paired with smoking, like people who drink and
Mm,
smoke, that alcohol can actually increase their exposure to these carcinogens from the
really?
smoking. So
Okay.
that's a bad combo there. Drinking and smoking together is way worse. The esophagus, the alcohol's going down there.
Right.
The liver has to
Yep.
metabolize it, and breast cancer
Oh, interesting.
and colorectal cancer too.
Okay.
So yeah, the
All the
breast
fun stuff.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, common cancers, right? The breast cancer, colorectal cancer are both cancers that are rising in young adults.
Yeah.
So that is important to bring this messaging on that alcohol, beyond moderation, even in moderation, is going to increase your risk. So if you're doing the heavy drinking, the binge drinking, that's going to further
Makes it
elevate
even worse.
your risk. But
So on that topic, my next question is why have cancer rates among young adults been rapidly increasing for the past few decades? And my initial thoughts that I just wanted to run by you, I'm assuming obesity, reduced movement, and low fiber as contributing factors, but I want to know your thoughts on it.
yeah, so this rise in specifically with the young adult cancers, breast and colorectal are sticking out as ones where we're seeing more increases in the young adult population. And yes, there's been a lot of trying to understand what this is, and the risk factors of lifestyle have come up. The obesity, the alcohol, the physical inactivity are known risk factors for these cancers. And we're seeing that those types of lifestyles have started earlier in these individuals. There's also just the increase in awareness, so more diagnosis, or like earlier diagnosis. Now, you said now we have the whole Feel It on the First campaign. So people might be identifying things earlier. Or colorectal cancer screening went down to 45. It used to be 50. And then also we're more aware of young adult cancer. So things like blood in the stool might get a colonoscopy earlier than it used to be
Interesting.
before.
That makes a lot of
So
sense.
yeah, there was an article that recently came out where someone said, well, yes, it's increasing, but let's be mindful that mortality hasn't significantly increased in like breast cancer. So
Right.
it may just be that we're finding earlier cancers because there's been more awareness about these
Similar to the
cancers.
autism discussion where it's like
Right.
we're having way more diagnoses now because people are more aware of it, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because there's like, oh, everyone's getting cancer now. See, it's our toxic environment. Like, we're more aware and we have
Right.
better screening tools.
Right.
And that's why we're finding some cancers, and our survival statistics are improving
Right.
because we're finding them so much earlier.
That's actually very encouraging.
It is.
That's
And
good
like,
to
it's
know.
not, because I said, when you think about these lifestyle factors, like those are the same issues we're seeing in older adults too.
Right.
But certainly a lot of attention because also the cancers that are happening in younger adults tend to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Have some different features than other cancers, maybe not responding to the same treatments as the same. So there might be something going on. There's some speculation for colorectal cancer, maybe early antibiotic exposure or route of delivery, how your microbiome developed, what you were exposed to when you were younger, which is really hard to capture in
Right.
observational research. So,
Does exercise legitimately reduce your risk of cancer?
yes, love it.
I
Like
love
I get
how
so
happy you
excited. I
got
love it because it's
it.
like so cool. But I say yes because like the mechanisms of how physical activity lowers cancer risk is just so cool.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah. So one of the big ways is stimulating our immune system.
Okay.
In an acute bout of exercise, you're releasing these myokines from your muscle, and these are signaling molecules that can have anti-cancer activity.
That's incredible.
It also, you're increasing blood flow, right? So that's mobilizing. I tell my patients, you're like mobilizing your army, right? You're getting them moving now to like go to where you want them to go to like, hey, what's going on here? Like, should you be here or not? Also, it activates your natural killer cells. Such a cool name for immune
Is that
cells.
what they're called?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they are called natural killer cells, which I think is like such a cool name because that's what they do. They see something, boom, dead. Like it's not supposed to be there, kills it.
Boom, dead.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, it's so cool to visualize. I like those are the things that go on in my head of like visualizing what's happening in our body. And then T cells also are part of our adaptive immune system. They get better activation after exercise. So when you exercise, like in the acute phase, you're actually stimulating your immune system. Then we know those chronic adaptations. You're supporting your immune system. You're going to have better metabolic health, better body composition. We talked about adiposity being a risk factor. So yeah, exercise is super exciting about that. Just moving your body is a way to stimulate your immune system. Because I often get patients asking, what supplement should I take? Or what food do I need to take to stimulate my immune system? Can you move? Can we start there? And I know people hate that. It's like, isn't that cool? There's actually one study where they recently came out. They had breast cancer survivors do HIIT training, an episode of HIIT training or resistance training. And they took their blood 30 minutes and 60 minutes after baseline, 30 minutes, 60 minutes after. Then they put that on breast cancer cells.
No way.
What do you think happened? Yeah, it reduced inflammation. It reduced cancer cell growth.
They used their own blood as a treatment for it? Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
So they were trying to look at like what's actually in circulation after cancer.
Yeah.
Put that onto a petri dish of breast cancer cells. Does that do anything? Yes.
That's incredible.
It's really cool.
What a really cool study design, too. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Was there a difference between the HIIT group and the strength training group?
Yes, the HIIT had better. Now, I'm not sure how much better improvement. Like both had benefits. Both had
statistically significant?
Yes, statistically significant.
So is there a certain type of exercise that you would recommend as like the best or like one that you should absolutely be prioritizing?
I would say move. Because there's actually recommendations too that those that even if they fell below the guidelines of physical activity, exercise reduced or improved survival.
Okay.
So it's just showing like anything.
Just move.
Just move.
Even low intensity.
Even if you can't meet the 150 minutes, moving, doing something is better than nothing.
Makes sense.
Yes, if you want to optimize this, because sometimes when people are getting back into exercise after cancer, they're exploring YouTube videos or going to different exercise classes, which is great. I want them to explore movement. But when you have limited time, it's like I really recommend a structured program where you are really working on improving your fitness, working on building muscle. You can't build muscle by randomly picking and choosing exercises.
Correct.
So it is hard. It's a balance because I want to encourage movement, but when they're not meeting the goals that they want, I have to have that real talk. Like, maybe it's time to invest with someone who can create a structured program for you.
Yeah.
Because, you talk about this all the time, like the mobility piece of this.
Of course.
They need structured.
Yeah.
But there's not enough people who understand what's going on with cancer survivors. So them finding someone who truly understands their barriers and getting a good program, it's a struggle.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like as someone who specifically understands that population. There are plenty of coaches who don't understand program design, period, never mind with that specific population.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that would be incredibly difficult.
People, I know your audience is like very fitness focused, coaches. We need more cancer exercise trainers.
Yes.
That is a certification opportunity.
Is it?
Through the American College of Sports Medicine. You can be a certified
I might look into that for me so I can add that to my repertoire. That would be very cool.
Because we need them. We need them. And they have their database of who's got the certification. It's not many. It's
I'm
not
going to look
many.
into that. I might
Yeah.
actually get that from you so I can, cause I would love to have that up right now in the inner circle. We're adding in, I have a perinatal specialist coming in, designing an entire program for
Mm,
pre, during, and post pregnancy. And I would love to have one for cancer patients. So that's actually super helpful. I'm going
we
to look
need
into
them.
that.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
We
All right.
need
I'm
it.
going to look into that. Thank you.
Yes, yes, I love it because we need more people moving, and it's like the barriers that can be really strong.
Yes.
They have neuropathy, balance issues, pain, fatigue. A really big research group out of Canada came out with, bone mets used to be like, oh, don't move your body, like you're too fragile if you have metastases in your bone, and that's actually
Of
detrimental
course.
to their health to not move. It's like, well,
It
give
makes it
some
worse.
guidance of like,
Yeah.
where is this bone metastases? Let's be careful about our movements in this area.
Yeah.
So, I get patients asking me a lot of questions like, that's beyond my scope.
Yep. Yep.
Just going to encourage you to move. Here's who I can connect you with. But unfortunately, there isn't a lot of resources.
Well, I'm gonna look into that. I've historically not been the biggest fan of most certifications, but that one seems very important and like a good one for me to invest in.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool area of research too, as we talked about treating those cancer cells. Okay, so another really cool trial. I also told you about, like, I want to talk about this one.
Yes, please, please,
So
please.
this is published in the New England Journal of Medicine. So
Yes. So
pretty
legit,
cool.
yeah.
Legit. Okay, so this was a randomized controlled trial where they were looking at high-risk stage 2 or stage 3 colorectal cancer survivors after they had completed treatment. So they already had their surgery, they finished their chemotherapy. I think they ended up getting enrollment around 3 months after they were done. So this is pretty close to after they're done with treatment. There's a pretty high risk of recurrence. Almost a third may
Oh,
have
wow.
recurrence of that, right? And when it recurs, it's typically stage 4 and a chronic treatment. So they randomized them to the health education group or the exercise plus health education. And in the exercise group, their goal was to try to get them to increase by 150 minutes. So they had to have not been meeting the goals to begin with. They had support the first 6 months. The goal was to get up to that in 6 months, and then they kind of dropped down the level of support. But they said any form of aerobic activity. It had to be moderate intensity, but any form. You could run, you could swim, you could walk. You could break it up however you wanted. If you want to do 10-minute bouts or go on a long hike in the weekend, it all counts. So I really love this. It's like,
That's
keep
amazing.
it flexible.
Just
right?
get to that number.
Just move.
However you do it.
That's why I'm saying it. Just move, right? And this is just aerobic. They weren't talking about resistance training. So anyway, they had them in the trial for 3 years. They ended up getting a follow-up period of about 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And they had a significant difference in survival and recurrence. So I think it was 37% better survival, overall survival,
Yeah.
and a 28% lower risk of recurrence
That's incredible. Wow. That is amazing.
from exercising.
Yeah.
And of course, we saw the improvements in the physical fitness, the mobility, but survival, I mean, doesn't get cooler than that.
Yeah.
And that's what we need because we had a lot of observational research. We had the mechanistic research, like we know it's activating the immune system, we're increasing vascularization, but put to the test,
Yeah.
does this do something?
That's
It
amazing.
does more than just something.
That's my hypothesis, my uneducated hypothesis and brain just goes to not only when we were talking about the increased cancer risk in youth and obviously, now more testing and more awareness, but in my lifetime, my generation is the generation where we didn't have social media as kids, but we also did have social media as kids. And so like we had both of those and just seeing the difference in terms of activity levels among people as phones and technology has improved. Like it's not uncommon for me to have an inner circle member or a client or whomever tell me they're getting less than 2,000 steps a day regularly. I just don't think that was the norm for essentially all of human history.
Yeah.
It's such a if we look at the timeline of human history and the teeny tiny blip of where we are now, it's like the movement is so little.
Yeah.
You could sit on your couch and order Uber Eats and you can watch TV. You don't even have to go to the movies anymore. You just have it right here. Like now I want to go to the movies. I haven't been to the movies in years, but like the amount that people move is so much less.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, man, I just don't see how that doesn't play a role in this.
Our bodies are meant to move.
Yeah.
So when you look at like what physiologically happens when we move, it's like we were meant to do this.
Yes.
Right? When you see these
Yes.
improvements in our immune system and metabolic health, it's like, yeah, our body responds positively to this because
Yes.
this is what it it's meant to do.
And we
It's meant to
literally get like a
move.
high from it. We feel better when you do it.
That
It's
is
like this,
cool. I
it's
mean, yeah, how many
right,
things do you do that's supposed to make you feel better?
right,
Yeah,
exact.
that
It's
you can
just,
naturally boost your mood through exercise. And yeah, because there's a lot of barriers. Because we live in a country where there's not really good walkways
yeah,
and
yeah.
we're a car-focused country. And so you really have to be intentional about
Mm-hmm.
your movement. So I have had my patients, like, not that there's anything magical about a pedometer, like just some good awareness
It's
about
super good
how
awareness.
little that you're
Yes.
moving. And so maybe we can just start from there of let's just increase your movement throughout the day. So because, okay, you force yourself to go to the gym for an hour and then you sit down for the rest of the
Yeah.
day.
Especially if which is in my end of the fitness industry, which so many people are, they're just solely resistance training focused, which is
Mhm.
wonderful, but it's not like you're moving that much. And I mean,
Yeah.
if you're doing a set of shoulder press and you're sitting on the seat, shoulder press seat, and then you walk over to the next machine or whatever it is, you might only get a couple hundred steps throughout that whole
Yeah.
workout, which is one of the reasons why, like, for me, I'll either tell people to do mobility in between sets,
Hmm.
and which involves movement, or walk around the gym. Like
That's a great
I've
tip.
easily gotten 3,000 steps extra during a workout just from during rest periods. You walk,
Yeah.
just an extra 3,000 from that one workout. It's
Ooh, that's a
yeah,
good idea. Yeah.
it rather than just sitting down and looking at your phone and
Hmm.
doom scrolling, you might as well move and, like, I don't know, have a conversation. The community aspect of it, I feel like, is cool
There's
as
that.
well.
Talk to somebody. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's a great tip and a way that we can build in some more movement. It's like, oh, we have the little things like park farther away. Okay, you get 100 steps or something.
yeah,
But yeah, we really need to improve that movement throughout the day. And I think this was why I said earlier, like something is better than nothing, because this was
yes,
showing. And what's the best training is like the one that you're going to do and stick with and be consistent. These individuals were consistent over these 3 years.
that's amazing.
But I think really the practical translation of this too is the support piece.
Yeah,
Can't just say, go move.
yeah, yeah,
They help them show how to move, help
yes.
provide that support. So I've also told patients too, if this is hard for you, get the support.
You need
You
it.
deserve this. You
Yes.
deserve this. And I understand that can be expensive or be maybe costly, but these medications that are often used to reduce the risk and recurrence for like breast cancer, right? They're taking these for 5, 10 years. Like that's expensive.
Yeah. I like what you just said. Almost, you said it almost nonchalantly. Um, and I had said you need this, but you had said you deserve this. I love it. I'm gonna steal that.
Okay.
It's because I love words, and I
Yeah.
feel like that's a much more meaningful, impactful, and true way to frame it.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, the people's behavior, why they make the decisions they make, it's everything.
Hmm.
I mean, why is someone today going to go buy their first pack of cigarettes, even though there's a skull and crossbones on it, and they know it could kill them? Like, why is that happening?
Yeah.
And so the way that you framed it, like, you deserve this, I love that. So thank you
Yeah.
for saying
Oh,
that.
good. Yeah, I've had to do a lot of that conversation with my patients because sometimes they can feel a loss of worth. They're not working
Right.
or maybe not able to contribute to their family like they used to or don't feel like as good of a friend. Like I see a lot of identity
Yeah.
taken from people because of that diagnosis and feel like they have to earn back some things to have in their life. And so, yeah, sometimes I have to be that coach for them about
This is
this is
why you're
something.
such a good representative for higher education,
Oh,
because, like, you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. Like, you're talking from experience of working with real like, I don't think that phrase that just rolled off your tongue would have come out unless you're doing this every single week, working with patients and seeing, like, what they're struggling with. You're
yeah. Oh,
incredible.
thank you. Like I added a lecture about compassion and empathy because I said, hey, I think we got to teach it now. It's not
Yes.
it's not
Yes.
intuitive anymore. Like we have
Yes.
to have real conversations about this. And I have them reflect on like, did you ever have a provider that maybe didn't show empathy or compassion? How did that feel?
Sucks.
It sucks. Maybe
Yeah.
never want to go back to seeing the health. Like
Yes.
you have an opportunity to represent the healthcare system. Like their
Yes.
interaction with you, like or with you, it's like you could be representing all personal trainers to them.
Yes.
I know it's one interaction, but it can be a stronghold in someone who really built up a lot to get there, and then you blow
Ruin
it.
Yeah. Completely
No.
agree. Super well said. Okay, so I have data. I want your confirmation on this, whether or not it's true or not.
Okay.
So I read data saying that women under 50 have an 82% higher risk of getting cancer than men under 50. And it's largely driven by breast, uterine, and colorectal cancers. Number one, is this accurate? And number two, what do you think is driving this?
I'm not sure on the exact statistic, but I will say that yes, those are the cancers that we do see in young women, that's
Okay.
increasing, are breast cancer, uterine cancer, colorectal. Men, it's colorectal cancer for those
Okay.
under 50. So breast cancer is a leading cause of cancer-related death in women under 50. For men under 50, it's colorectal cancer.
What do you think? Is nutrition a major part of this? Is it like I would imagine
Yeah.
colorectal fiber would be a major issue.
Yes.
Like, what's going on aside from like, especially like, we'll say aside from the earlier testing and being more aware of it, what other factors do you think would be contributing to this for younger people?
So colorectal and breast are both obesity-related cancers.
Interesting. Okay.
So of that 13, obesity, actually for postmenopausal. So let me take that back. Obesity actually tends to be protective for premenopausal.
Really?
Not sure why.
Well, that's crazy.
I think one of the stats is if it's estrogen driven, postmenopausal adipose tissue is going to be our primary way that we're getting estrogen, right? Because of the aromatase enzyme.
Okay.
But premenopausal, we still have ovaries that are the main estrogen producers. But still, though, fiber, because fiber is involved in, so our liver tries to metabolize this estrogen. These estrogen metabolites should go out in the bile, in the intestine, out. Fiber, though, if you have slow motility, that can be reabsorbed, right? And then it's right back in the system. Versus fiber can also be a good way to increase motility, but also helps form a nice little trap. So then that metabolites in there and then it's going to be in the toilet. So
Got it.
I said that's a good way to take care of your liver. It's like it's trying to get things out of you and it's sending it to the intestine. Help it.
Right,
Like, get it out.
yeah.
That's your job. Or like, right? It sends things out to the kidney. Help it. Get this out of your
That's a
body.
good
So
way to frame
hydration,
fiber.
bowel movements. So that's one of the mechanisms by which fiber is protective for cancer. Yes, there's the microbiome piece, but also in its ability to help with the elimination of these metabolites. Also, it's going to reduce the exposure of carcinogens to the actual intestine because it's more now trapped within that fiber.
Are you aware of any research around stress and cancer?
Not as familiar with the research, but in some reading that I have done, yes, it can be a risk factor. Now, is it in our cancer prevention guidelines? No. But stress can impact your sleep quality. We know that disrupted circadian rhythms like shift work is a carcinogen.
Is it? Okay, so
That is
sleep.
in the IARC.
Okay.
Yeah. Shift work is because you're disrupting your circadian rhythm. So if you're stressed and you're not sleeping well, stress suppresses the immune system. So those are some like maybe more indirect ways. And you see how stress can also influence your nutrition, the choices that you're making.
Got it. So the behavior side of it as well.
The behavior, maybe the community that you have around you, your ability to participate in physical activity. I think like stress can also be maybe a signal for other things that are going on in your life that
Right.
could be risk factors.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay. So not sure if it's so much directly the stress in and of itself, but what happens as a result of the stress, like lack of sleep, poor
Yeah.
choices.
And we do know, yes, it suppresses the immune system's function. So, and the immune system is part of our ability to evade cancer or
Okay.
attack cancer.
Okay. So I said that I had one quote from you that
Okay.
I really wanted to go over. I loved this and I want you to dive into it. You said, and I quote, "Food is not medicine. Your diet is a powerful tool for health, but diet alone cannot cure cancer." Can you explain that?
I stand on that still.
I love it.
We don't have evidence that it can cure cancer. And this is coming from more of the approach. I get that the food is medicine movement is about food supporting our management of disease. I'm behind that. But I don't like the terminology in when it's framed as this is the alternative to traditional medicine. I get that medicine too is sometimes used to ease side effects, right? It's not necessarily a cure. Like ibuprofen is a medication, it's medicine, but it's not eliminating an
Right.
issue.
It's not killing cancer cells either.
Yeah. So I get where people have this argument, well, like medicine doesn't mean cure. Like, yes, but the way that diet is often talked about in cancer is that it is the cure, that
Yes.
it is the alternative, that those are going to poison you and you need to do this diet. And diet is certainly something that can support you. And I say nutrition is a powerful tool. In that post, I said nutrition is a powerful tool, but it is not the only tool that you should be using. We have the physical activity, the sleep, the stress, the access to care.
I've seen people saying that celery juice will cure cancer.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah. Medical Medium was like
Yes,
the OG.
he blocked me.
He gets his messaging from spirits.
From literally, that's you go to his website. He says like, I get my because he's not a doctor, I don't believe.
No.
Which is crazy. He can put medical in that name. Is medical not a term that's
Guess not.
regulated?
Guess not.
That's crazy. Yeah. So spirits tell him.
And here we are making sure I've got a research citation like in the post, like ready to talk about it, stats on my mind, and this guy can just say whatever.
Spirits.
I'm like, I should just say the spirit told me. I get it. Those are an example though of like how much distrust people have in traditional medicine that they're willing to go completely other side.
Yeah.
And let's see what this guy has to say, because this system isn't helping me. So as much as that stuff drives me crazy, it's like, why did we get here?
Yes.
How did we get here?
It's an
We
important
have to
question.
take responsibility for how we got here, how the scientific community, the healthcare community, yes, they're busy people, but you're supposed to serve the public.
Yeah.
And when that wasn't met, when there's all this access to information, what happened? Lots of people ready to take that opportunity. People want information. I'll give it to you. I'll make a buck off of it too.
Yeah.
And that's also something I've tried to get across to my students. Like, don't assume that our professional organizations are out there doing it for us. They're not. Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, not doing it for dietitians. Our American Society for Nutrition, not doing it. The American Medical Association, like, they're not.
Yeah.
So understanding that we have to show up in these spaces, because otherwise medical medium is going to get their information from ghosts, and people trust them and built a community. And unfortunately, now we're trying to fight this aftermath.
Yeah. Your students are so blessed to have you. And not only that, but their future patients are blessed to have had you as their teacher. It's really amazing, because especially you adding the course around empathy and really focusing on the patient that's what's going to bring trust back into the medical system, is just having someone who's like, you know what, let me listen to you and hear what you're going through. I think that's what we need.
Yes.
Like, that's without question. If I felt more
100%.
heard by doctors, it would be a very different situation.
Yeah. And, that's what I really appreciate about the way that you show up on social media, is that you tried to build a community.
Yes.
Too. This isn't about, I saw you do a post recently about those that just like attack others. And I know that's a route that gets attention and you're getting some eyes on your content, but I think it just creates more of this divisiveness.
Yes.
And a line I like to use, it's not our job to win. It's our job to connect.
Yeah.
And then
I
once
love that.
we connect with people, then let me listen to what you have to say. Not like, I'm the expert, you need to listen to me. You're dumb for not listening to me because I'm the expert. That does not fly anymore. A decade ago, might have.
Yep.
That you have a higher degree. I get it. Like, we worked hard for our credentials and have the experience, but that does not guarantee that people want to listen or learn from you.
Yeah.
And if they don't connect with you, that's fine. Go learn from somebody else. But hopefully there is someone else that you do connect with that does have good information too. But
you'll be able to help people more with that connection.
Yeah. If you're going into this like on social media or wherever you are trying to just win and show that you're always the right one, that's a bad attitude going into this. That's more of an ego thing.
100% agree. Completely agree.
Like, you agree with me or not? I trust myself, and like what I'm putting out there is based on evidence and my interpretation of it. You might have a different interpretation, and that's okay. But
you've already done it numerous times in this podcast, either saying, I don't know the answer to that, and or being like, this might be wrong in 10 years. Like, being able to be forthright and say, this is what I currently believe based on my current interpretation of the current evidence. But that will likely change as time goes on, as opposed to being like, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, I'm digging my heels in, and there's no way this is going to change ever.
Yeah, you need to have some humility in it. And sometimes I had a student ask me one time, like, what do you feel about like all these other influencers online? Doesn't it like disappoint you to see like you're up against all of this? So, I kind of see like some of these influencers as the celebrities of our day. Think of all these other, like the celebrities.
Yeah.
That we don't hear about anymore.
Yeah,
right?
that's exactly
Why?
right.
Because someone younger, more popular, cuter, sassier replaced them. You're old news.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel this is my theory about why some influencers are getting just like more and more bizarre about the things that they say, like that water's dangerous for you or something.
Yeah.
It's because they have to hold on to this attention.
100% agree.
And their identity is built on their diet. So as evidence stacks up against them, and this has been your whole identity and your whole following, it's all going to come crumbling down. So, but if you're going into this space with evidence on your side, this humility that things might change. I said, I'm only going to get smarter with time.
Yeah.
I'm only going to get more experience with time. Like, sure, someone cuter, whatever might come along, but my brain just got bigger.
Yeah, I love that. It's the social media world is so dangerous too because these people are coming up with more wild claims. I think in large part their identity is built around their engagement and how many people are following them, and not just at this point following them, but engaging with their content.
Yeah.
And so if they've been saying the same thing for a certain amount of time, eventually your engagement will go down because people get bored of the same thing. So like, well, I have to say something different now in order to re-spark this engagement to make sure that they listen to what I'm saying. So they get addicted literally to this feedback, to this like liking their posts, like saying you're amazing, whatever it is. So then they have to come up with new strategies to essentially trick people into engaging with their content because that's their form of payment is engagement. And it's not even a form because if they have sponsorships, then they are getting paid for that engagement. They are getting paid. So they have a huge, not only individual and egotistical incentive, but a financial incentive to keep changing their message in more wild ways just to engagement farm.
It's a slippery slope. And then it's like, then you're going to run out. I'm like, we already got to water. So what's next? Right? What's next?
Yes.
And right. They're looking for a dollar sign, and we're trying to show up to really educate people. And like when your whole business is not based on social media, like social media is a cool tool.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be your financial stake.
Yeah. And definitely not sponsorships. Like if you are financially dependent on sponsorships and I have a whole host of issues with it in terms of if you're financially dependent on sponsorships, number one, they can control what you say and how you say it. And then you actually don't have the freedom of speech. Like technically you do because you could say it and then lose the sponsorship. But if you can't lose that sponsorship financially, then you are not as free as you think you are.
Yeah. Interesting space.
So I have some post-cancer diagnoses questions.
Yeah.
Let's say someone is just diagnosed with cancer. What is your immediate response and subsequent recommendations?
You're not going to like my answer, right? Because it depends.
No, it's okay. It's, as long as it's the truth.
Yeah, it depends. Because I'm like, let's talk. I need a full assessment. What's going on here? I might have someone coming into this diagnosis perfectly healthy. Our goal is, all right, let's try to keep eating as well as you can. We'll talk about ways to support the immune system, building muscle, all of that. Versus I might have someone coming in, difficulty swallowing, right? So my goal is how do we modify textures and let's keep you eating well and prevent further malnutrition. So again, how cancer is not one disease. My approach is not a single approach, but
Makes
always
sense.
with the common goal of we're going to prevent unintentional weight loss is a big major goal, but then also let's aim for higher fiber, higher protein, rich in antioxidants. That's the dietary pattern that we're aiming for. How can we help you stick to this with all of the side effects that you might be coming in with already or are about to deal with later in your diagnosis?
So you had said someone comes in, they're perfectly healthy, aside from the cancer diagnosis, right? If someone comes in early stage cancer, you're still recommending they get a treatment for that, right? You're not just saying, hey, we're just going to let this play out. You try and handle it immediately.
With nutrition, yes. Oh, yeah, getting treated.
Getting treated for it.
Yes, I actually had to add an intake form because I had a situation where someone came to me because they wanted to use diet to
Cure.
And I said, I ethically, no, can't do that. If you go see a provider and you're under somebody's care, so they need to be under somebody's care.
Got it.
I'm not going to take that responsibility. I'm not going to make any claims that nutrition can do that.
Okay. That's helpful.
Yeah.
When someone is diagnosed with cancer and going through treatment, what are some of the most common things they struggle with related to health and fitness, and how do you help them overcome these obstacles?
Say fatigue is probably the number one. It is the most common side effect related to cancer. So if you're tired, and this isn't just like, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Say this is a fatigue that impacts their ability to focus, physically function, like even get out of bed. Body feels just weak. I think one analogy one patient told me is like if you've ever had like the flu or something, just this overall achiness, cloudy brain. Think about when you're sick.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And this is common with the treatment or with just cancer by itself?
Cancer and its treatment.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a lot of inflammation that's going on, right? So a lot of cells are dying, and with chemotherapies or a lot of cells dying at one time, even healthy cells, such inflammation, and then that can send signals in the brain that like, hey, rest, lay down. Also, body's going to be sore because of this. So, yeah, when you think about how you felt on those days, and this isn't just one day, this is multiple days, like getting up to go exercise, going to the grocery store. Also, I have to work. I still have kids to take care of. There's a lot that they're trying to do with a very low energy tank. So a lot of this is, and sometimes it's not every day. Like when they're in chemotherapy, for example, the first few days might really suck, and then they have a couple weeks where they're feeling better before their next cycle of chemo. So it's like, what can we do on those days where you're feeling well? We're going to maximize everything we can do with your nutrition, and then prep for those days where you're not going to feel well.
How do you prep for those days?
So it could be meal prep. Or sometimes after the first cycle, that's when people find out, okay, I got taste changes. I hate drinking water. I don't want to cook. And it's like, okay, well, then let's get meal prep. Let's talk about things that can help address these taste changes. You develop mouth sores, so let's avoid things that are acidic or going to aggravate those mouth sores. So sometimes I tell my patients with the first chemo round, it's like, we're going to prepare as best we can, but we really don't know until
it happens.
Yeah, and then we're going to see what happened. And then we're going to prepare for it. Don't be disappointed in yourself that it didn't go well. It's the goal is nourishment, period. Hydration, whatever you can get in. But then let's really try to hit these nutrition targets.
What are your favorite sources of antioxidants?
Berries. Not just because I love how they look.
For everyone listening, she's wearing a shirt with strawberries on it.
Strawberries. I got my strawberry earrings on.
I didn't even notice those. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got my whole collection here. But yes, berries, just because one, they're super high in fiber too. So we get a lot of boost in fiber.
Raspberries and blackberries. Oh my gosh.
Easy to find frozen too. So
Yep.
it's really easy to throw into smoothies or top your yogurt and get a lot of volume from them. Good flavor too. Blueberries are great when people are having taste changes because they kind of are tasteless.
Yeah.
Sometimes blueberries can be tasteless. Or they can have a lot of tartness, which can be helpful.
Okay.
When they have altered sense of taste. So berries are my favorite.
Okay.
I say all fruits, great. But when we're really trying to maximize fiber, like a ripe banana doesn't have a whole lot of fiber.
No.
A cup of blackberries.
Oh my gosh.
So
blackberries and raspberries are the kings of fiber, especially among fruit.
Yeah. Or let's get in some beans or something too for some fiber. So I say they're all great, but when we're really trying to get the most bang for our bite, berries are usually a good go-to for me.
Fiber and antioxidant packed. Yeah, I love that. Dr. Bellardo also, I was just showing Mitch before you arrived. She recommended these edamame-based noodles. I don't know if you've seen these things.
No.
I'll show you when we're done. There are these like edamame and like mung bean. They're noodles. And listen, it's not like you go to an Italian restaurant and have the best pasta of your life.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
really.
But they're good. Like they are legitimately good. And my wife, she'll make them and she'll put salmon on it with like roasted tomatoes and olive oil and salt. And it's like like huge amounts of protein, huge amounts of fiber. And it obviously not antioxidant rich, but like very high fiber and great protein sources. And like they're relatively easy to eat and super easy to cook. So I'll show you those. That would be
a great recommendation. Yeah. Because protein pasta is often something I recommend.
Yes.
Because they're leaning towards comfort foods like the mac and cheese, the grilled cheese. Like, well, can we do a whole grain bread on that? Can we do a protein pasta on that? Or you're doing chicken soup. Can we add a little bit of beans in there? Like just do what can you tolerate? And then what can we add in there to get you some more
I'll show
nutrition.
you those.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'll show you is I was saying I love juice. I try to have like a carrot juice with ginger every day and a beet juice before I work out. But the juicer that I have has this super cool function that essentially you can put frozen berries or frozen fruit in there and it makes a sorbet.
Oh, nice.
And now the issue with juice by itself is that it will take the fiber out.
Right.
Now, personally, I don't struggle with that because I get plenty of fiber anyway. But with the cool part about the sorbet function is it keeps all of it.
Oh.
So you take the frozen berries, and my wife likes it with frozen mango. So you get like this frozen mango.
Yeah.
It's just like you put it in, and just within seconds you immediately get just all blackberries and raspberries, and you just get this amazing sorbet. I'll show it to you. It's highly recommend.
Right,
and if you want, you could even take frozen Greek yogurt and put it in as well, so it makes it a little bit creamier and higher protein. But like,
I need those recipes.
I'll
Yes.
show it's
I will definitely share that with
so
my patients.
easy. I'll literally show you before we go. It's
Yeah.
the easiest thing in the world, and it's delicious.
That's awesome. Because ice cream is often one that people too are going towards a comfort food. It's like,
Yeah.
how do we get some more protein or
Yeah, I would
nutrients in
imagine
there?
maybe with the mouth sores, the coldness might help.
Mouth sores. Sometimes people develop a neuropathy where cold is actually really
Oh, okay.
painful. So,
Okay.
it
That makes sense.
depends,
Yeah, it
right? It
depends.
depends on the, but it's good. Like that's where we have to kind of think outside of the box. And I mean, there's so much going on in their life too. It's like, they're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I could do that. Sometimes with the most simple things, it's just there's so much
Yeah.
that's taken up space in there. It's like, it's okay. So let's sit down together and create the plan.
Yes.
Because when you're in the thick of it, that's not when you're thinking about what's the most high fiber thing I can make.
Right, right,
You're just
right.
like, I need fuel. I need to eat.
Yeah.
So it's always about planning. I tell them we can't just wing it. Really can't just wing it. It's going to be really hard to just wing it.
Makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
What role does protein play in healing from surgery and or cancer treatment? And how much protein should those with a cancer diagnosis eat?
Yeah, protein is super important. That's one of the number one things that I talk about with my patients. Right? Protein, or a lot of people understand protein for its importance in muscle. That's one function of muscle. And that's not the most important function, or one function of protein, not the most important function of protein, right? Proteins make up our enzymes, right? Some neurotransmitters are made up of amino acids, antibodies for your immune system, the building blocks of cells. I could go on, but I often do this analogy. It's like, so if you're not getting enough protein for those things, guess what's going to get a hit? A muscle is going to have to get shipped away. Also, we know with more inflammation, that does signal for more protein breakdown. And there's a lot of inflammation that happens after these treatments. And some chemos are even toxic to the muscle cells. We have myotoxicities of some of these. So we know that there's more breakdown of that protein. We need to replenish that protein. So our recommendations are 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram, which isn't that high compared to like what bodybuilders are doing or people strength training. There is some research that says it might be actually a little bit higher because these are all just ranges, right? Cancer is not one disease. What therapy people are undergoing could change.
Yeah.
But once we get to points of like cachexia, malnutrition, we're getting towards more 2.5 grams per kilogram.
Got it.
But also, this too, like if you're not getting enough protein or if you're eating enough protein, but not enough calories, that protein's going to be directed to be used for an energy source. So we need both. And like, I don't want you just chugging some protein drinks and think you're good. Now that protein is being directed to provide you the energy that you need.
Makes total sense.
So we need to also have that calorically dense piece. But yes, protein needs are higher. We need to support the immune system, the recovery of the healthy cells that got a hit, and support that muscle because that muscle is critical.
Yes.
There has been such strong research to support that those that have low muscle mass or lose muscle mass during treatment have poorer survival and more treatment toxicities. So muscle is critical. We want to hold on to it. I mean, you know this too. We just need to hold on to the muscle. I'm like, finally, muscle is like getting a spotlight. I love it.
Yes,
I love
yeah.
how much more attention. Like, it's not just the fitness space. Like, people are really understanding. Like, oh, this isn't just for aesthetics. Like, this is a metabolic organ, and
For
we need
life. Yeah.
And this is what's predicting longevity, treatment outcomes. We need to do whatever we can, and that's where you can provide the protein, but we still need our anabolic stimulus, like exercise.
Yeah.
I got to bring it up again, but you can't just eat protein and expect it to go to the muscle.
And so you make sure your patients are strength training as well.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I feel them out. Like if we're in a bad place, it's, nourishment's number one. But like you told me you want to do everything possible.
Let's do it. Let's lift.
I say that. I'm like, I know you came to me for nutrition, but I would not be doing my job if I did not talk about exercise.
Yeah. I love that. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but I have to ask.
Okay.
Are there any supplements cancer patients should be taking?
No. No. Let me start back again. It depends.
That's fair.
That answer again. For example, I have all of my patients get tested for vitamin D levels because especially breast cancer, some data came out that those with vitamin D insufficiency had a higher risk of mortality. So we know that vitamin D is not just for bones.
Right.
One, very important for breast cancer because their treatments do tend to impact bone density. So we want to make sure you got good vitamin D levels, but it also supports your immune function, muscle health. Right? It's a hormone. It is an active compound. So if you're not getting enough, and it's really hard to get from diet, And then when you think about during treatment, you're not going out into the sun. Some treatments, they actually tell you, stay out of the sun.
Right.
So you're not getting vitamin D synthesis from there. So I highly recommend that they all get tested for vitamin D.
Okay.
My own personal experience, a lot of them are low.
Yeah.
A lot of people
I
are
think
low.
most people, especially if you're not getting enough sun. But even I was talking to someone who's a very high level surfer out in the sun all the time, had chronically low vitamin D levels, which is, I just assumed that if you're out in the sun, you'll have very high levels. But to your point, get yourself tested because you don't know. Yeah.
So I'm not an expert in the vitamin D area, and I have some people that have argued with me on the internet, like it's not that important. I'm like, okay, well,
That's wild. Of course it's important.
these cutoffs are arbitrary or whatever. I'm like, well, there's enough observational research that says why not? It is safe. We know that we need it. It has function. There's a cutoff here. Let's just try to get above that cutoff. Now, if people aiming for like 50 or 100, and like, I don't know if we have evidence for that, but probably not a good idea to be deficient in a vitamin. So that, I also have many of my female patients test for iron, full iron panel, because, iron can be normal if there's low stores, because anemia can be very common that occurs during therapy. So like, let's make sure you're good.
But you're not being like, you need glutathione, you need...
No. And in fact, there is data that shows that cancer survivors use supplements more than the general population. One survey found that about 3/4 reported dietary supplement use. The general population's about 60% in the U.S. I don't doubt that's probably higher now.
Yep. Yeah, especially in the last few years, for sure.
So that's like an older statistic. And then what was also really interesting about that study found that almost half of them had not told their healthcare provider that they were taking a dietary supplement. And I said, I don't think that comes from a place of, my doctor's going to tell me no, or I'm hiding this from them. Just assume it's a supplement, right?
Yeah.
Just like I take Tylenol, I'm probably not tell my provider, right? It's over the counter. It must be safe. It's natural. But we have some real concerns about how supplements could interfere with the safety of their treatment, or that they themselves, those supplements, presenting risks, because I'm sure you've probably talked about it on this podcast, the concerns about how supplements are regulated in this country.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's a buyer beware market.
Yes.
Like they are regulated, just not very well. Not very well.
And on the bottles, they say this is not evaluated by the FDA. Like it's very clear.
And it raises, like a lot of people are not aware of that supplements do not have to be proven safe, effective, pure before they're allowed out on the market.
They don't even need to tell you what's in it. They could just say it's a proprietary blend, and you don't even get to know what's inside.
Yeah, and that's where I have a lot of concerns. Like patients, when they bring a supplement like that, like, I don't know, because I can't tell how much of each of these things are in here. I think that's kind of an automatic, like, sketchy,
100%.
kind of red flag there. It's like, you need to know what you're taking, because if anything happens, you know exactly what it was, what caused it, and they can take it from there.
Best case scenario is they're wasting their money. That's like the best case. Worst case, it could be interfering with their cancer treatment and causing harm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. For example, with tamoxifen is a endocrine therapy that many breast cancer survivors take after treatment's done. It helps lower the risk of recurrence. A supplement, curcumin, which is in turmeric, was shown to interfere with the metabolism of turmeric. So it actually, or with tamoxifen, so lower amounts of tamoxifen. So it was a small study, and it was just to like kind of proof of principle here that these natural compounds, if they are being metabolized by the same enzyme that the drug is being metabolized by,
that makes sense.
Like Chem 101, right? Or it's like substrate versus your enzyme there. It's going to change the product.
If they because of their dietary preferences or culturally they eat a lot of turmeric, would you say, hey, we need to reduce that?
Not food-wise. Yeah.
Oh, just the supplement.
The supplement. Yeah, it was a supplement.
Just because it's so high. So, okay.
Yeah, and you're getting like the active compounds, right? And it was with is it piperine, the black pepper ingredient that was in there. You had even more bioavailability. So
interesting.
And like some of these turmeric supplements, like you're probably not even getting much because they're not very bioavailable unless they're formulated that way. But yes, and they've shown too that some antioxidants might interfere with the efficacy of treatments. Like radiation, part of the way it works is inducing oxidative stress. So if you're giving too much antioxidants, you're actually helping quench that oxidative stress, and that can be protective for the cancer cells that should be damaged by that oxidative stress. That's when radiation does cause a DNA damage, but there's also oxidative stress that should damage these cells. So antioxidants may interfere with the efficacy. So we typically say, just don't even risk it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just don't.
What is the worst advice you've ever seen someone, qualified or not, give to cancer patients?
Oh, worst. My gosh,
The
I've
worst
heard
advice.
I've heard a lot of things. But you know what? I'll take it from the point of nutrition doesn't matter, eat whatever you want. When it comes to cancer. I'm like, that's terrible advice. That's terrible advice. Like, at least the people making a diet claim are showing that nutrition has
Right.
an impact, whether that's wrong or not. But to say that it doesn't,
Yeah. You see people saying that?
many patients have told me that they've heard that from their providers. That
Really?
nutrition doesn't matter, eat whatever you want.
Oh my gosh.
Eat ice cream, and I was like, okay, there becomes a point where someone's really malnourished, like, yes, get down whatever
Right.
you can. That's number one. But to say that right away, you are dismissing the power of nutrition.
Right.
And now you have closed off a conversation about nutrition. They want to do whatever they can to support themselves. Like, that's an opportunity to direct them to an expert, good resources. Because now that you've closed this conversation, but they were asking, they wanted information. They're going to go find it.
Yeah.
Now they're going to go wander into the
Social
interwebs,
media.
yeah, the dark internet of like, who knows what's out there. So that's really bad advice. You've closed off a conversation. You've said nutrition doesn't matter when that's wrong. And now your patient is going to go look somewhere that could give information that is harmful.
Yeah.
You could say like, it sounds like nutrition is very important to you. I'd be happy to write you a referral to a dietitian.
Yeah.
If you don't know one, say, maybe you should connect with a dietitian about this. That's it. You don't have to know everything. Like, there's this conversation about that doctors need to get all these nutrition classes in.
Yeah.
Like, they got enough on their plate.
Yeah. It's fine.
We can do it.
Yes.
We're the experts.
I'm so glad you're asking about this. Let me give you access to somebody who can really help you. That's a simple
Awesome.
response. Yeah.
Yeah.
In your experience, what is the best thing a newly diagnosed cancer patient can do to increase their chance of survival and live a long, healthy life?
Our nutrition and physical activity
That's
piece. Yeah.
That's it. I love it. Simple.
Yeah.
Now, I have a few more questions.
Sure.
Looking ahead to 2026 research, what breakthrough in oncology, nutrition specifically, excites you the most?
I feel like, unfortunately, nutrition is not going at the same pace that exercise is. I'm like so jealous of the exercise research. Like, I'm so excited about this study that came out. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that is what we need to get this integrated into care. You show survival outcomes. This needs to be covered. This needs to be integrated into care. That's proof. Nutrition, we are falling behind because I think a lot of it is it's hard to get people to adhere to these
Yes, it
interventions
is.
for a
It
long
is.
period of time. And I don't think it's going to be one food, right? That's going to be our thing that we're going to hang our head on. There's actually a coalition now of people coming together of PhD RDs in the oncology space. We're a small group, but the goal is to bring us all together and see like, where are the gaps? What should we be focusing on? In this area. So I'm just excited to see more research come out in this area that's going to show the value of nutrition. I mean, okay, we'll say one thing I am excited about, the immunotherapy research that's come out. So immunotherapy is something that's being used more now in cancer treatment. I don't know if you're familiar with immunotherapy.
No.
But so I've talked about chemotherapy. It's systemic, right? They put this in, and this is going to kill rapidly dividing cells, which could include healthy cells. Unfortunately, so we see a lot of side effects from these therapies. Radiation, DNA damage through radiation, right, to a targeted area, but we also see healthy cells get damaged. So what's exciting about immunotherapy is that it's using your own immune system to kill cancer cells. So it's the T cells specifically that it's trying to get them to be better activated to kill cancer cells.
That's very cool.
So now we're going to have more targeted treatment, right? So more cancer cells you're killing, less of the healthy cells, less toxicities. But not everyone responds to these immunotherapies. So there's been some really interesting research of, well, what's the difference between these responders and non-responders? Diet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. One of them in melanoma found that higher fiber diets had better responses.
Fiber's king.
It is.
Fiber's just king.
I mean, really, it is. When you think about, well, where did fiber come from? Our fruits, our vegetables, our
Yeah.
whole grains. So the fiber, right, supports our microbiome, which helps prime our immune system, which helps we have lower inflammation too.
Right.
Like we're going to have a better primed immune system. So fiber, a more Mediterranean style diet has also been shown to be associated with better outcomes. A more plant-forward diet, omega-3s. So I'm really excited about that space because it's showing that this immunotherapy has been a game changer for outcomes and reducing side effects. And now we're seeing that nutrition may be something that we can manipulate to make this more effective. And so I think that's probably our more targeted area to show like, yes, nutrition is important. It can impact the outcomes of these therapies.
Yeah.
And physical activity has also been shown, got to throw in physical activity again, has been shown to be associated with reduced adverse effects from these immunotherapies and also better outcomes from these immunotherapies. So that's exciting.
That's really exciting. That's really, really cool. All right, so I have a question. I want to ask you about a conspiracy that I've heard of. And everyone has conspiracies nowadays. But specifically in regard to cancer, one thing that I've heard, and again, I'm very uneducated on this topic, is the idea that with the way that science has progressed and the amount of knowledge that we have, the thought that we don't just have a quick, easy cure-all for cancer. Many people say it's a government doing. It's like not that the scientific like I've actually heard that scientific researchers have been killed once they've figured something out, like because there's so much money in cancer treatment. That's what I've heard. What are your thoughts on this conspiracy? Like, what do you think?
That's a really big one. It is a really big conspiracy. And my number one argument against that is like, when have we ever had people agree to hide anything? Like everyone is in on this, not just the U.S., but every other country. Like cancer doesn't just affect the U.S. So everyone around the world is in on hiding this cure for cancer. And also, I don't think we're going to have a single cure because cancer is not one disease. Right. So we're going to need targeted treatments for every different type of cancer. And the hardest part about treating cancer is that it is our own self, right? There's very little that makes it look different than our normal cell. So it's going to be a very challenging, and it has been clearly a very challenging thing to treat. Now we have made huge strides in survival. When we look back at the history of how cancer is treated, they used to try to just take the tumor out of people before there was even anesthesia.
Oh my gosh.
Emperor of All Maladies is a really interesting book people should read. It's like
What's it called?
Emperor of All Maladies.
Okay.
It's got a little crab on the cover. I forgot it's an old book, but it goes through the history of cancer. And it's been around. Like this is not a modern disease.
Okay.
Like founded in Egyptians and
really
looking at hieroglyphics of interpreting that it was around for a long time.
So it's not a modern day thing.
It's not a modern day disease. We are living long enough now to develop cancer. When you think of when cancer typically develops, it's an older age and our lifespan was not that long, right? But anyway, back to the conspiracy piece of this is that it has been a very challenging disease to treat. And we know that one treatment doesn't work for every cancer. And also to think that your healthcare providers who have put in decades into their training, their education, have gone into debt, are going to hide something from you.
Right.
When we look at the statistics that 1 in 3 women, 1 in 2 men, everyone's going to be impacted by cancer somehow. Either you have it or a friend or a loved one. To think that all these people would hide a cure or try to harm you. I don't really have, I guess, a great argument for it. That just don't believe that would.
Yeah. I think you laid out a pretty clear and concise and logical rebuttal to that.
And there's a lot of money, yes, in the treatment of cancer, but losing people is also dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Of you're losing their ability to work and their contribution to the economy. Having sick people is not good for the economy.
Correct. Yeah. It's a drain on the economy. Yeah.
It's a drain on the economy. I'm if we're going to put us into dollars and cents, that's the reality.
Yeah.
They're expensive. And also to treat it or have the cure, we're saying there's no side effects of that either. What comes with that and the expenses that might happen with late side effects of whatever cure there is.
Makes total sense.
And I think I don't believe that conspiracy
Good to
at
know.
all.
Great. I love
Like,
it.
I don't. And I know I like don't have a great argument against it other than I just don't think that's possible.
Fair. I love it. Thank you. That was actually super helpful. So I have three more questions. The first one is, out of all the different types of exercise that you've done in your life, what is your personal favorite type of exercise?
I really like resistance training because you get to see how you get stronger and to see that as I age, I'm not getting weaker, I'm getting stronger. That's
Yeah.
really fun to see. Because with running, I am getting a little slower, so it kind of makes me sad. It's like I'm not running as fast as I used to, even though I'm training more than I used to, right? Used to just strap on shoes, go for a run, and like, done. Right. Versus like now I got to warm up, stretch.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
paces aren't the same. So I love running, but it can be sometimes like, oh, really? Like I'm
Damn
not,
it.
yeah, I know. Versus like strength training is like, yeah, hell yeah. I just
Yeah.
lifted, it's amazing. It's so
Yeah.
cool to see what our bodies have the capabilities to do. And that if you keep it moving, it keeps working for you.
Yeah.
And
Do you
so it's
do you
fun.
incorporate both running and strength training into your weekly routine?
Yes. Yeah. I used to be one of those cardio junkie girls when you're talking about like, what did you believe back in the day? Also was like, oh, you got to burn as many calories as you can with exercise.
Yeah.
That's an old belief I had too. Like if you're not sweating and if you're not
Mm.
wearing your heart rate monitor, counting all the calories, it's not a workout. When I see like, well, what's the value of your resistance training is how it works for you after the workout.
Yeah.
So strength training has been a lot of fun. And I got into that around grad school time. My boyfriend at the time had started P90X and I was seeing like his strength improvements. I was like, well, this seems cool. Let me try this. And like the idea of like writing down how much you lifted and
Yeah.
like seeing your gains. I'm someone who's very goal driven. So you actually see it on paper,
Yeah.
your improvements. And to know like I've been training since then and I've only gotten stronger.
I love that. And
And
about how many times a week are you strength training? How many times a week are you doing cardio?
I do 3 to 4 times a week of strength training because it's so hot right now. It's just like the argument forever in Texas. It's like it's just hot.
It's
I'm down to
October and
like
it's in the 90s. It's
yeah, I'm
crazy.
down to like 2 times a week in running because it's
Okay.
just like I'm tired of the sweating.
And for strength training, do you follow a program? Do you have a coach?
So I have followed Lane's.
Lane, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's got like these training programs, and so I follow a structured
Amazing.
training program.
Is it-
But I might hit you up.
Oh,
I'm always looking to like change it up, right? That is one thing about strength training too. Is
Yeah.
just I know it's like the same movements that you have to do
Yes.
forever, but I do like to incorporate a little variety.
I'll give you free access to the inner circle,
Woo!
so you can get in there. And there are many different options, but you'll see there's for me, I try and do everything. So obviously, strength training is a huge component of it, but I think one of the things that differentiates the programming from other people is the combination of the mobility training as well. And so it's not just like we're gonna hold this stretch for 30 seconds. Like it's strength-based mobility training.
That's amazing.
So it's I don't even want to put any images in your head. I think you're gonna like it a lot. So I'll give you free access to that, so
Oh,
you can
awesome.
try
I'd
some of
love
those
that.
programs out.
Because that's why I see like the value of that mobility also makes you a better runner. And
Yes.
like that's where running's held me back. It's like injuries come up because I'm not working on my mobility. It's hard to balance it all. And then
It's super hard.
but you have to make it an intentional part of your plan.
Exactly.
And that's why I say like this is outside of my scope. I'm like, I know exercise is important, but I don't know how to do
Yes.
the programming.
The cool part is like they all help each other, right? So like getting stronger can help make you faster with your running, and then getting better with your cardio or your running, whatever, can help you recover faster in between sets for your strength training. Improving your mobility can improve your range in your strength training, improve your quality of life there. Improving mobility can also help with your gait and your running as well. Your running will also help with it. Like it
Yeah, it's
all
all connected.
And what I love what you had said earlier about strength training and exercise in general is so many people exercise because of almost as like a punishment and or because it's they want to look a certain way, and there's nothing wrong with having aesthetic goals. It's fine. But what has become much more motivational and inspirational for me, and I would imagine for you and your patients as well, is seeing how much this stuff actually gives you a better chance at living a longer, healthier life. It's how much it actually works for you outside of just that more vanity-based goal because
100%.
after a certain point, I think that vanity doesn't last very long. And if vanity is lasting a long time, I don't think that's a good thing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, any of that.
Yeah.
So I love how much you emphasize that and how doing just these most simple, basic things can radically improve and enhance and hopefully elongate your life.
Yeah, and the quality of that life. Like I'm
Yes.
someone who I love to hike and travel, and like that's what I train for is to see the world. That's
Yes.
what I want to do and move around the world easily. And I'm not out of, I work at UT Austin, got hills, and there I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not out of breath walking up that hill, right, with my backpack on and everything. Like these things that come in your day to day life when you just see like having that strength and that cardiovascular fitness just makes moving around the world easier
Agreed.
and can stand at concerts still and dance and do all that fun stuff. I want to live a big, full life, and fitness is a way to get there.
I know I said I only had a few more questions, but you bring up travel and you're going to get me going.
Yeah.
Where is your favorite place that you've traveled and where is the next place that you're traveling?
Favorite place was probably Japan, just
Oh, I'm
because it
so
was
jealous. I'm
culturally
so
was
jealous.
amazing.
Yeah.
Because we've done Europe. Like Europe has been, there's plenty to see in Europe, but Japan was just, okay,
Yeah.
this is a whole different
When did you go to Japan?
world. December of last year.
Oh,
Yeah,
recently. Oh, I want to go so bad. That's
you need to
amazing.
go. The flight was long, but
Worth it.
yeah. I
And
mean,
how long
you're
were
from
you there
Dallas,
for?
so you can get out of here pretty easily. Like
Yeah.
Austin, we had to do some connecting.
How long were you in Japan for?
A little over a week.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And did you have sushi and
All the things.
oh
All
my
the things.
gosh, I'm so
I just
jealous.
like just seeing like an organized, clean, friendly. I
Yes.
just love it.
Yeah.
That I always get whenever we come back home, like, meh. No, I love where I live, but you get back home and you're like sitting at the Austin airport and then sitting in traffic on the way home and you're
Yeah.
like in your car and stuck in a car when you're like
Yeah.
used to using public transit and getting around everywhere and
Yeah.
the walking, like that's what I love most
Yeah,
about going
so
to other
walkable and very
countries
clean. Yeah.
is walking. So we don't actually have another international trip planned.
Okay.
We usually try to go like during my breaks during the holidays.
Where do you want to go? Where's one of your top places that you haven't been yet that you want to go?
Croatia was on my list, but we ended up going to Slovenia.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that. I mean, I've literally never heard anyone who's been to Croatia say anything bad about it. And I've also heard people say, because I haven't been to either, I've heard that Slovenia is a really wonderful place to go, like, if you're not going to go to Croatia.
Yeah.
So that sounds
That's what we heard.
amazing.
It was like, okay, it's less busy in the summer. And we did, I was excited. I went mountain biking
Oh, man.
and I've never gone mountain biking. So it's like, those are the things that, again, where fitness comes in.
Yes.
You're like, I can do this. Like,
Yes.
I have no training, but I've got the strength and I got a guide. And we had a great time and got to see things that I wouldn't have been able to see from just walking around. So that was so fun. But Croatia, yeah, is definitely on the list. But there's so many places to
I
see
know.
and explore. We haven't done any of like South America. Japan was our first trip out into Asia. So
Yeah, that's incredible. I would love to go to all those places.
go get it.
All right, two more questions.
Sure.
What are you scared of?
The short answer is losing people that I love, like whether it's my family, my husband, my dog, my friends. Just the loss is a lot to think about. But also, like, I know that you ask people these questions, so I actually thought about this a little
Oh, did
bit.
you?
So I'm going
Okay,
to say
good.
this isn't just off the top of my head. I thought about this because, like, just being a little vulnerable here, I'm someone who has dealt with anxiety
Okay.
a lot. If you would have asked me this like a year ago, I could have listed a million things that I'm scared of, right? And with the world that we're in, even
Oh my gosh.
more.
Yeah.
But anxiety took so much from my life, that I wasn't able to show up fully in my life. Being worried about what other people would think of me or anything that could possibly go wrong, it took a lot from my life. And so now that I have anxiety under control and better managed, I'm living a much fuller life. And I'm aware of these things, and it's good to be aware of the things that are going on, but I don't let my energy go there anymore. I've really put a lot more work into the energy that I'm putting out in the world. How can I use that energy now that's not worrying about all the things that are out of my control into how can I show up as a better educator, a better friend, a better dietitian for my patients, and just try to create a positive world around me, because that's all, at the end of the day, that's all we can control.
Correct.
Could be worried about AI or the next war or any of that happens, I had no control over, and none of my energy invested in that would have done anything about it. But if I can make good in the world that I'm in, that's where it is. So anxiety took a lot, and I'm not going to let it take any more
Good for
of
you.
my life.
I love that. That's amazing.
And I really have seen how putting that energy out in the world has created a really positive thing in my life. Like connected with you, great people. Like just by showing up, I also think that the energy that you put out in the world is the energy. I know I'm getting woo here, people, but I believe this, that the energy you put out is a lot of the energy that you receive.
I completely
agree. Because it resonates. Like, why did we connect? I love your personality. We're having a great conversation.
Yes.
It's like because of the energy.
Yes.
That you're putting out in the world.
100% agree. And also, I love when someone who's very science-based also has some woo-woo. I like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people, it's either or. So I love when you can have like a little bit of the spiritual or the scientific. Like it's great. Why can't it be both?
Why can't it be both? I have a friend. I like what she said. She's like, I'm not woo-woo. I'm woo. Okay. I'm like, yeah, I like that. I'm not all the way woo-woo, but I have a little woo in me. I'm like, yeah, that's it. Like it's just spirituality or whatever way that connects with you, of just knowing that there's something bigger in this world. And I think the way that we resonate with others, and like when you get a bad vibe from someone, like that's
real. Yeah.
Trust it.
So, and this question's coming. Last one. What are you excited about?
I'm excited about my life. Honestly, I'm so open to whatever the next steps are in my life. I used to be someone who, again, needed the 5-year plan and the 10-year plan. If things aren't going to plan, it's all, downhill. And now that I've been able to really show up in my life, I just am excited for what's next. I felt like it took a long time to get this level of maturity. And I told my mom this, and she said, I'm still working on it. So it's like, there's no timeline, right? It's also like, don't go on this timeline. It's like, this is where you figure it out. But I finally feel like I'm in a space where I feel confident in what I know and how I can help people and where I am in my career, and that there's good opportunities still on the horizon, that research is still going to plow ahead despite what's going on politically. Science does not stop. So I'm going to stay positive about all of that, and I'm just excited about my life.
Where can people follow you?
CancerNutritionHQ.com is my website. I'm on Instagram. Tried to show up on TikTok, not my vibe.
No. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Bad vibes there.
Yes.
Not getting it there. So that's where I'm choosing to show up right now. And on my podcast that I started on a little bit of a hiatus right now. That's okay. Don't have
There's
to do
some
all
good
the
stuff
things.
on there already, though. People can go in and listen.
Yeah,
you have a bunch of great stuff there.
A lot of the myths that we kind of dabbled in today, go into a little bit more deep dive in there. And that's where I want to continue to show up to educate on a different platform. So that's where I am now. You'll see where I end up later.
I'll put all those links in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been wonderful. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please make sure you follow Dr. Krystle on all of her platforms. We'll put them in the show notes. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. If this was helpful, please share it. It helps a lot, not only the channel, but if you think this was helpful for you or someone who might be going through something, please share this with them. Tag me on social media. Tag Dr. Krystle on social media. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.